And welcome back to Atlanta, Georgia for the third iteration of the Dreamhack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational. That's a mouthful, and we got an action that's a mouthful, to say the least. We have made our way all the way into losers quarterfinals. My name is DJ TJ. Next to me, Mr. Carson Cass, another full student cast for the one time. Carson, last game, how was it for you?
Very good. I've obviously lost my voice. I've left even a little bit further down the road, but very good matchup. Obviously, we saw previously. We had two very good games, one of which you and Bepic were on, and we've got a lot of interesting storylines after Waukesha County, fell very quickly, 3-0 to Bruton Parker, and now we have a rematch of yesterday's closing game on stream. That is not. Now it feels a little different.
But it's also worth mentioning that WCTC running into a roadblock, I feel like that was bound to happen. Kennesaw running into a roadblock that shouldn't exist today. That was not on my bingo card. You start your morning off playing against Daytona State. Yes, it's been a long day. I've been running around, excuse me.
He's running this event.
So they run into Daytona State. That was a very, very close series. Goes all the way to 5. We had overtime in that series as well, and they lose that series. Now, granted, in my opinion, Daytona State is more of a step up from WCTC than a step down, but they shouldn't be losing those teams at all in general. So if Kennesaw is going to get over their demons, you absolutely have to start right here, right now. Not only because it's losers bracket, not only because you have to, but if you're even going to have a sniff of a grand final, you have to win these matches.
Yeah, and for Waukesha County in that second matchup that we saw, didn't really seem like a different team. They felt like they had the scoring prowess to kind of take advantage of those brief moments when they know how good they are. But for Dimitri, the primary scorer and playmaker, he didn't feel on. Just a few pixels off from these early goals. But again, we've seen how close they got on those faceoffs earlier against Kennesaw State yesterday. Nearly an opening goal for them there for the Owls of Wisconsin.
The big thing for WCTC as of yesterday when they played this Kennesaw team was the aggression out of this roster. They are a very, very egotistical group, but not in the sense of you'd hate spending time with them. We love these guys. We love that they're here in Atlanta once again with us, but egotistical in the sense they will challenge you. They do not have a lot of respect for other teams. They don't have a lot of respect for other players, and something tells me that Bruton Parker probably took very large advantage of that. I hate that I didn't get to watch that game. Funny enough, there's also other collegiate action going on. Intel is having CS2 show matches. My guys win against Bruton Parker CS2 team. Carson, my guys 13-1. Wow. That's where I was during that WCTC game. So on that note, Manny's also behind us waving, and I'm sure he was very happy about that series. But, you know, Bruton Parker, you know, you win some, you lose some, and their A team's in a great spot right now.
Nearly in not a great spot. Time nearly goes right on that left side. If you're a Bills fan, again, tragedy wide right to here. But 3 minutes and 40 seconds that you're seeing is such a good transition game from Kennesaw State, but Waukesha Tech. You mentioned yesterday how often they pre-jump, how often they try in that pre-fire type move. But Dimitri not given a lot of space. They've definitely adjusted to it after yesterday's matchup, trying to make sure he and Ty get very little touches. Ty, though, all the way to the other end. Flitz is able to get there just enough time without any booster resources.
Those adjustments are what I expect Kennesaw to start making. Even though they didn't start this morning with them, they have to now. You need your deep third, and of all the players to be your deep third, Flitz can absolutely kickstart the heart of this Kennesaw roster, and taking a reset there up in round 1. These are the plays that I'm talking about. Maybe not the potential accidental hit back into Dylan. Maybe that's not the play I'm talking about. But Flitz, somebody who can absolutely take over and unironically can be the best player in the lobby, even against maybe a Winthrop. He can be the best player in the lobby. He's that level of professional in my opinion. But he's looked a little off his game today. And granted, maybe it was just an early start. Maybe, you know, didn't get coffee. Maybe you don't drink coffee. Who knows? I know I was struggling this morning. But WCTC, a team who brings their own energy with them. Daytona State, a team that Kennesaw played and lost to earlier, the same type of thing. So if you even give WCTC the first goal here, that's where I start to worry for Kennesaw.
You have to immediately find a way to get into the offensive zone. Waukesha Tech has done a fantastic job hurrying the pace up. Ty White will go for a double, won't get there. Dylan in that defensive end has struggled a lot, looked a little better this morning. Great in that transition game though, Dimitri. Leave it up for his teammate Ty, who opts not to go for it. Neeks with a second chance! A misplay from Kennesaw State, and Waukesha Tech has the lead.
It's just an awkward whiff. I mean, Dimitri just wanted to beat Flitz. Dylan had it red, but didn't have enough boost to get to it. I miscalculated the angle there up the ceiling, and because of that, Kernovi also no boost, can't do anything. That was one of the biggest issues in that previous matchup earlier today, that they went all the way to Game 5 with Daytona State. They didn't have a lot of boost. They weren't able to do anything, and they made their own lives harder.
Need to find a way to get that boost stealing away from Waukesha Tech. We saw it earlier how well it can work, especially against with a Bruton Parker squad that did a fantastic job of it. Ty going for a double. Oh my goodness. Ty to himself. Watch this play make a lob to anybody. Makes one miss, goes for Dylan who can't get it, puts no resources, and all he can do is stand there and watch as the double comes off of him with 2 minutes to go. 2-0 lead for Tech.
I mean, Ty gets a reset at the very end of that play as well and finds a way to use it to actually make sure that ball finds its way across the line. I mean, Ty has been incredible. Now, granted, I think Dimitri has been maybe the MVP of WCTC so far, but Ty was the one who kickstarted that entire movement. Dimitri didn't start really getting hot until WCTC really started letting Ty go to work. And so worth noting that one of the veteran members of this roster obviously doing what you expect out of your team captain, leading the way mechanically, but also leading the way and giving open nets. They could have found one there, and again, Kennesaw just get all out of sorts, and all it takes is just a few goals.
You have to imagine with Dylan coming in as the sub for TNT, it's not exactly how they planned it. It's likely that these teams, this entire roster, has not played with each other on land too often, and it's a very different environment for Dylan, who has to come in here and step up to the plate with a team that he doesn't play for a lot. I mean, you're seeing it there. Kronovi, that's a pass to Dylan, and Dylan just doesn't read it right correctly, whatever it was, a minute to go, and that simple play has led it again now in the other end for Waukesha Tech. Plenty of chances on goal. I mean, we're seeing it. This is a butterfly effect. When you miss plays, when you keep it out of your own zone, they can get another chance. They can get a few other goals here. We're seeing it now, 2-0. They keep getting chances. They keep giving second opportunities to this Waukesha Tech team. It is a very good feeling. Now, if you're on that northern side of this battle.
The odds of us losing Kennesaw, if you would have asked me at the start of the day or the start of yesterday, I would say you are probably crazy. But right now, when they miss wide open chances, I mean, Kronovi missing a double tap in 2026 is not a sentence I think I would ever have to say. Flitz missing an open shot as well. What is happening for the Owls? I mean, it's an owl off right now, but only one's really hooting.
I don't know if Flitz played that right. It just maybe got the wrong angle on it. Kind of got sawed off. Ball came closer. I think he had anticipated, but 10 seconds remaining. Waukesha Tech just has to kill time. In the other end, I mean, it's pretty much wraps from this point. Dylan could get down a goal here, but with the second remaining, now down to 0. It touches the ground and it's over. They'll let it. Waukesha Tech 2-0 start, 1-0 lead in the series.
My big confusion point is, again, when Kennesaw absolutely has to lock in, when they have to show up, I very rarely have seen this roster struggle to perform in those moments. I mean, again, you're talking about Flitz, a very experienced RLCS player, has played all the way over in Saudi Arabia an event. Like, this is somebody with real land experience. Kronovi, I don't even need to start. A world champion, somebody who's traveled to also plenty of lands, and has been a representation of North American Rocket League at times. And even right now, he coaches heavily. He still spends so much time around the game, even as a player in RLCS. So whenever it comes to making those adjustments and then going from there and making them happen, this team never struggles with at least attempting to make those changes. But right now, they're missing plays. They're not finding good shots. They're not finding good passing lanes. They're really struggling on defense to keep composure. This is a very odd version of Kennesaw I don't think I've ever seen.
I think the big thing you're seeing is Flitz plays very well off his teammates. That's kind of his name brand, as it's always been. To me, Flitz is a very good team player. He'll always include the other team. He'll always include his other teammates. He does have to rely on them, though, unfortunately, in that case. You don't get a lot of assists on a team that can't shoot or make a shot, and that's kind of what's happening here. What Waukesha Tech has to understand is that they know Kronovi is really the only scoring threat they have to deal with these persistent chances on the offensive side. And a transition goal here and there from Dylan isn't going to hurt that bad. They're marking two. They're basically playing man-to-man when they play defense against Kronovi and just letting Flitz basically try and go by themselves, who just doesn't have the freestyling ability of Kronovi or another member on this team.
Here's what I'm most concerned about if I was a Kennesaw fan right now. Ty making his goals happen, you know, your team messing up a few plays, all right, that's, you know, it's salvageable. You can stop one player. You can hit the ball more consistently. You can make the right passes out of defense. My issue is WCTC also isn't playing the best version of themselves yet. And that's what scares me, is I think that the ceiling right now, based on how these two teams are moving, it's going to be WCTC and a three-man passing play. That's what I'm talking about.
The extra pass is something that is used a little bit too much by some sports coaches. Forces Kronovi to make a dive. He has no boost. He has to make a chance. It's like a PK for soccer. He must make a decision there, and forcing him to make one to the left or right is big enough for Kronovi now to have to deal with that section. The goal gets through on an extra pass. A beautiful decision by the freshman Dimitri.
also for the freshman Dimitri to even find the lane to make that pass in the first place. I mean, you know, 99% of players don't make that pass, let's be honest. Some either take the solo shot and they bank on their own mechanics, or they just don't see him at all. But then again, like Daytona State, who beat Kennesaw earlier, WCTC, a very balanced team. They trust each other. They've got another open net. Neeks is going to go for the bump, and that one's free.
What worked against Waukesha Tech earlier from Burton Parker was a very condensed, kind of not a spread team. And what really helped them is when they were going to the other side and they were finding the ability to space out Burton Parker was their only real good few minutes that we talked about earlier. They need to keep doing that if they want to keep winning this one for Kennesaw. They have to condense themselves and maybe get some lucky chances off of a face-off.
You'll take one back any way that you can. It's a great kickoff from Dylan, and also WCTC, they pull out some kickoff strats here and there. That was probably the first one we've seen that failed hard. But you'll take those types of risks whenever you are, again, in your first minute of play. We've already seen 3 goals.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say other than we are now entering the past first minute after a game where we did not see a goal until the 2-minute mark. It's very interesting to see just the aggression now tuned up for Kennesaw. In front, Dylan will tap it in, 3:45 remaining. And take a look at this one. This is exactly what we're talking about. That face-off play. Waukesha Tech doesn't get cute with it, but Kronovi able to pass it over to Dylan. When they are able to mark away, you can see things there, but Ty unfortunately going down into that.
Trying to figure out what happened with Ty, and I see it now. Kronovi goes for the 50, gets bumped in the air, but then just has the boost to just stay on the ball. Are we going to see 3 straight kickoff goals? It looks like the answer will be a no for now, but pretty tough bounce back for Kennesaw and for WCTC. However, they're going to try and find one of their own. Ty looking down on Kronovi's head, off the bar and off the wheels of the vet. Will find its way out of the way of Flitz, who actually, wait a minute, is right back on it. Dylan trying to let Kronovi get in. Bump comes through. There's a lot of room for Dimitri, who gets called off the ball. Ty wants this one. Ty up and over one. Wants to go for the bump. Has Flitz off the bar. Dimitri trying to find a way middle. Very awkward angle. Does get the ball middle, but also not worth committing to if you're Neeks, who's got plenty of time to go once again for his own touches. Wall dash as well. Back on off the corner. Ty with the player middle. Got to be careful of your Dimitri here. That one's kind of handed to him, even with the backflip. Another great 50. Here comes Ty all over again. That's pass 1, but it's off, and Kronovi's got a chance now.
Neeks will try and go for it in the other end. We see how hard and aggressive Waukesha Tech team will play that ball, and exactly there, another free jump leads them to a great 50. Flits in the air with 2. Nearly goes top down. They have to put it away. Kronovi can only put it into that corner, which will allow Dimitri to get another setup pass or setup shot here. Kronovi's forced to just bump into him. Muscles past 2. Dylan not able to get it, but Dimitri not able to finish either way. Neeks back into that corner. Over to Ty. It's an accidental pass from Kronovi on the 50.
Ball will hover up, and Kronovi's just trying to stay alive, really fighting his way through, and actually gets the mid boost. Dylan's able to turn into a pop for Kronovi out of nowhere. What a great setup from him. Bump for Kronovi. Dylan's there, and it's just barely by the hair of Ty's chin. Able to find its way off there. 2 minutes left to go now. Shot is going to be on, but blocked away once again. Dimitri's already all over it. Wasn't open net. Kennesaw did have all 3 up, but again, a WCTC chance will fall away. Tie, backboard. You have Dimitri, but also Kronovi is in the area. Very bold double commit for Neeks, who just wants to get in on the action here and will make sure it's very awkward for Dylan and Flitz to make a play. Flitz was on the side of the post as well. Very awkward recovery. Dimitri has space, trying to play it slow. Great 50. Kronovi's there, and it's a decent 50. Ty's got a chance, actually decides to leave it for Dimitri. We're going to assume that's intentional.
Still into that corner with Kronovi. What you're noticing is there is no boost ever on that Kennesaw side because they keep having to use it to play defensively. And what Burton Parker did so well that Kennesaw now has to do is understand that if you stay near the net and your defense becomes less in that middle transition game, you can clear it very easily when you're defending shots on net. Waukesha Tech takes a lot of shots, and a lot of them are blockable there. No boost again because they're just playing it into the corners. You need to find a way. Get out of it. Goodness gracious, Flitz is the only one there. Constant barrage on net. Kennesaw can't clear, and they won't clear as Dimitri forces a 50. Flitz is able to clear it, but again, 2 members of that other side of Waukesha Tech will be able to dump it in.
And again, this boost conservation and stealing is absurd. Now, however, an awkward play in the midfield will open up Dylan and Flitz for an opportunity. Kronovi's going to try and do it himself. No reset, no pinch. Ty's got no boost. Kronovi's trying to tap it back in, and the vet will do his dang thing.
And just got a concussion off that goal. That was beautiful. 3 minutes into this one since the last. He gets another 28 kilometers per hour. It is a loft, beautiful little set there, like a volleyball play, which we see a lot from Waukesha Tech on those set spikes down. Kennesaw answers with one of their own. A beautiful little lob there from, honestly, you could argue one of the best players in this tournament.
Kronovi trying to keep that title very strongly on the Kennesaw side. You have two players who can make that argument for it at this point. Big play downfield. Kennesaw will try to get their way back into this series, and it will be the first game they've taken on WCTC. If they can do it, Kronovi up and over one. Dylan dives in. Dimitri, and a 2v1 is just going to completely fall apart because another missed midfield play. Dylan has room, does get a good catch. It will find its way out the corner now. Neeks in an upward spot. That shot is on, and Kronovi out of nowhere. What is happening?
This is exactly what I was talking about, where they need to find a way to catch Waukesha Tech in their own end, doing what they've been doing the entire time, where they just kind of let it go. 4 straight now unanswered from Kennesaw State, as that's pretty faint. I can hear the final nail going into a coffin, at least for game 2 here against Waukesha Tech. Maybe not immediately, nearly a face-off. Koltai will have another opportunity to center it to Dimitri, who has a boost. It has to beat 2. It'll go top down. Kronovi has to clear, or otherwise concede a goal, but that will likely be it on the other end. A very well-played game from Kennesaw State as they rally back 4 goals in a row after Waukesha Tech takes a 2-0 lead.
Beautiful from Kennesaw, and again, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is what I've been waiting for. You have Kronovi, you have Flitz. When are they going to start playing like themselves? Kronovi very much does that, and it's actually one of the better offensive games I've seen him have on the Kennesaw roster, period. Normally, he doesn't need to play that first-man role. Normally, Dylan can fill that, and Flitz can fill in the gaps with whatever leaks out. Kronovi just has to control the pace, but now he's controlling the pace. He's making his own shots, making his own plays, and Kronovi goes with a hat trick to bring Kennesaw right back into it.
That's the first time on scene we've seen Kronovi reach that 60-touch mark, and it tells you everything you need to know. Now playing more aggressive, more in that scoring role. They know that that is their best opportunity, and they need to rely on it. So they need to really do a better job about pushing that forward and having him be more aggressive himself. Very good strategy from Kennesaw State. That's what's going to work, and they finally, I think, realized that it might leave you more susceptible to give up goals in the defensive end. However, Waukesha Tech, I don't think can score that much when they are dealing with that much pressure. Kennesaw State knows that it may not work against a team like Bruton Parker or a team like Winthrop, but for now, it's a solution they have to play with. They need to adapt when they've got somebody subbing in.
So now we see WCTC. Their play style starts to bite them for the first time all tournament. You have a second man who wants to be aggressive. There's nothing wrong with that in theory. But if your second man is missing plays, if he's missing the ball, if he's missing touches, that's what opened up 2 Kennesaw goals, was that reasoning right there. Your second man misses a play, it's a 2v1 or a 3v2 the other way, and you're just chalked. That cannot happen for WCTC. Mechanically, you've got to keep yourself in this series, and they can start it off right here.
In that corner, Neeks will give it over to Ty, who's only got one to beat. That one is Kronovi, however, not one you will often find on the back foot. Dimitri putting it forward on the offensive end. Dylan will have a tip into the air. As we continue on, as audio goes out for one of the players, so we will take a brief tech pause. We can take a brief tech pause here with a headset audio, 425, and
I had to call a pause myself. I don't know where our wonderful TOs were, but they were unfortunately not around, so because of that, they had to come over here and let me know that a pause was needed. So apparently there's audio issues on the side of WCTC, so we're waiting on them to see what's going on there. Mr. Corey, Mr. Bossman GG is behind us doing his darndest, and we appreciate Corey for his work. Carson, I guess we'll stand back up in the meantime while we're making this happen. So I guess we'll throw our cams back on stream here, and we'll hopefully get the audio issues figured out. Again, I can't say I've had a player come up to me and yell pause. That was Coach Ryan coming over, a good friend of mine. So that's a first for me.
I mean, obviously we have our. I mean, that's
right,
them right there.
That's Coach Ryan right there, actually.
Yeah.
Wait, there you go. He's off the screen now.
It's hard when it's the mirror. It's really quite difficult, but. Obviously, what you're seeing is it's a lot closer of an atmosphere, and you can hear the other team. And Daytona State, one I think that you really got to watch out for when you play them, because they are very loud, especially when you're sitting across from them. It's not a fun experience, and I think for a lot of teams, maybe that second-day energy is really riling them up. Bruton Parker certainly used to it, obviously, with lands like SCL. They are definitely going to be a lot more adjusted to it. Waukesha County, though, and Dillon, specifically on Kennesaw State, not a lot of big in-person events. So you have to see how these guys respond properly. Dylan, not a lot of big person events is not exactly true.
I was about to say, I'll fill in a slight gap in that.
Yeah.
Dylan, when he was on Georgia State, played in a very heavy amount of lands, and he basically has played in almost every Kennesaw land because they don't send their full roster. So I want to clarify that Dylan does definitely have some experience, but with mixed rosters. So that point stands, but just for a slightly different reason. It is a little weird trying to get used to this atmosphere, though. And we talked about it this morning. It is impossible to play that way. And so it looks like, from what I understand, that the audio issues are good now. So we're going to make that happen. Again, shout out to Corey. Shout out to Koopa Troopa on the back end running the lobby for us as well. And so it looks like we are I believe, ready to go. So as long as teams are ready, we're going to restart from kickoff. I believe we're going to be at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, I think. Something along those lines. Without further ado, I think we are ready to get things going. So here we go. Let's see what happens in game number 3. Of course, a tech pause happens in a much pivotal game. Losers bracket, quarterfinals. Nobody wants to go out this early.
Yeah, and obviously those kickoff attempts have been very potent. About 50% of the time, I'd have to argue, Waukesha Tech or Kennesaw has found a way to score on those, including yesterday's matches, but in what is going to be their 6th game facing each other. Kennesaw finally gets one, 4-1, the full tournament score, but they'll go back and out to fight each other again. Dimitri, a great center. Neeks can't get there.
Paul will try and be 50 middle. Neeks is uncontested after he jumps over the first player. Kronovi, somebody who's been jumping over players all weekend. Again, he has been almost perfect. Actually, I'll say this. He's basically been perfect through the midfield. I mean, he continues to not miss a single thought process or touch or idea. However, who's missing thought process and ideas is going to be actually Kronovi and another WCTC player who get a little awkward there in the corner. Neeks actually has come out of left field to get back to that one in time. Ty does get back to that ball, but does slam it away a little too hard. Neeks in a very awkward spot as well. Will be absolutely thrashed out of the field for it. Now Dylan gets a shot out of it. How in the world are Kennesaw still setting up a 10 here?
I have no clue how Dylan misses that. That's such a good defense by Waukesha Tech to put it barely wide. A save on their heads. Exactly what it is. Neeks with a long worm burner. It goes wide off the post.
3 minutes left to go here. As Ty will try to go off the top bar. Can anyone get there in time? No, Kronovi off the top bar. Neeks will get another chance. Dimitri there to follow. And WCTC just needed a slight breath of fresh air.
The Owls of the Wisconsin side. I keep saying the Owls, and I keep realizing, oh yeah, they're both the Owls. But Dimitri with a great response. Works it through 3 Kennesaw State players. And helped by Neeks on that rebound. That is a fantastic job getting a second shot off, which has been their real bread and butter all throughout this weekend, is when they can get more opportunities than just one. They are very, very good offensively. They need to do better on these kickoffs, though. Dylan gets demoed, the only saving grace here, but Chancellor will continue from Flitz going top, trying to go. It's a beautiful fake as Cornelli comes in to reassist, a one-time goal.
The miserable spot for a third man to be in. This is why you go for these plays. Flitz could have easily taken the air dribble, but why would you do that when you just take out the last player remaining? I mean, WCTC, they leave a third man all by his lonesome after a few bad 50s. Dimitri rushed his clear just a little too early, and all of a sudden, your third man is absolutely destroyed, and it's a goal. So, learning experience for WCTC, but I don't need to be the one to tell them that. They have showed they can do that. That right there would have almost for certain have been at least a shot on net, maybe even a goal top right if Dimitri got back to that one, but no reset.
Into that corner has the ability to 50 back as he goes into the other side, just running with it. Nobody can contest how. And he's taking that free jump way quicker than anybody else can deal with. Flitz in the middle, trying to fight again, but just when Dimitri has boost, he gets so much quicker than these other guys. Waukesha Tech knows they want him in the air at a high speed. They give it to him when they can. Dimitri and Ty have to kind of double a 50 there as a team. 2 minutes and 15 seconds expiring close to the end of game 3. They need to find a way to get top down. Dylan to himself. Sickening. It's off the post.
I cannot believe that's not a goal. Kronovi with one of the passes of the entire weekend, maybe even of any Dreamhack Collegiate Invitational at all. And Dylan gets up to the door and then turns around and walks his way out. I mean, I don't even know how that is not a goal, even if he did backflip on that ball. Normally that is for certain just a tap forward, but regardless, we're going to roll past it. We don't get the time to sit here and feel sad about goals or missed opportunities. We still got 1:30 left to go and a very, very close match.
Nathan McKinnon, Canada Gold Game reminiscent, just very wide left on a wide open net. Corner shot here, Dimitri to himself, trying to give it to a teammate, actually. Neeks nearly goes top down, it's high on the third chance, a great pass, and Waukesha Tech play makes their way to 2-1.
Dimitri, bang downfield, redirect off the corner, got a reset just in case he needed it. You know, just why not grab a reset there? And it works as a pass just in case he can't get back to it. And then Neeks follow-up tie their goal. I mean, my lord, they play so connected. They are quite literally a system of a team. They're not playing with a system. They are a system as a unit, as 3 individuals. They are all on the same page.
Hard to beat 3 cogs that turn the same way. They move together very, very well, as you mentioned. A lot of team chemistry, and something we saw against Bruton Parker as Dylan goes on net and ties it. A fantastic passing play up the middle. And those are the kind of plays that they've been having to go for because they haven't been able to put it in front. Dylan That definitely makes up for earlier. That feels a lot better now. He's hopefully got his mental back.
Definitely a tilting goal as well. Dimitri doing his job. You get the boost from him. You take the mid, and then all of a sudden, because you took the mid, you're too far in front. You can't get to the ball to cut it off, and it's a goal for Dylan. That was a little infuriating to say the least, and Neeks will take a pretty awkward 50 in the meantime as well. But Flitz trying to keep the infuriation away from the Kennesaw side. Great first touch reset as well. Does he have another one in store? Almost gets a pitch instead. Almost goes coast to coast, and again, it would have been the best moment. Be one of the best goals in the tournament, but it does fall just ever so slightly far away. Ty, 1v1 against Flitz, has the opportunity, doesn't flick it at all. So Dimitri and Neeks in an awkward spot. Nobody goes off the side. Bar now. What in the world for WCTC? 30 seconds to go, and they're holding on by a thread.
I'm kissing the post right now if I'm this Waukesha County team, but it's not over yet. Dangerous zone. Dylan can't get there in time. Ty with a mere car length away from disaster. Put right again. Fantastic defense. Saves on their head in the other end. Waukesha Tech should have one more chance here as Ty carries into the zone. Everybody's got boost on the other side, but Neeks has to get it after Ty gets it 50 away. Again, now it's Dimitri, though. After one line of defense goes, it's Flitz contested in that middle end, but 5 seconds remaining. Shouldn't be too many chances on without any real resources around for anybody but Dimitri. If they can keep this up, they'll like it, but he'll hit it down, and we've got overtime in losers quarterfinal game 3.
Losers bracket overtime. It is absolute hell for any team who even wants to imagine what could happen. Even on their worst days, Dylan could call it right here. Dylan double off the ground won't find its way on, and so because of that, here we go again. Dimitri going counter, has a chance to go middle, has a teammate there, but WCTC's second man is starting to get countered now. They're playing aggressive, but so is Kennesaw.
When you have passes go to your third player, you know how well they can pass. On net is Dylan, who kind of gets forced out by Dimitri. Flitz in that other end, it's an interesting fake, gives it over to Kronovi, who had a better shot at that one, but it hits the ground too quickly. It's an awkward, sawed-off angle. 40 seconds remaining. Flitz is going to try and carry it into his own end, go coast to coast here as he gets past one. Can't muscle it past Ty, though, but Dylan might have a chance. He's going to have to double. Won't go. It goes off that right side. A fantastic save. Neeks keeps it alive for Waukesha Tech with 50 seconds into overtime. Not even a minute in, we've seen 2 nearly game enders. Flitz going for another double to himself. Dylan there, but he can't convert. Another save.
Pancake for Flitz was not on my bingo card, but it was an opportunity. Dimitri now off the side wall will try and find something for WCTC. This is a new version of Kennesaw. This is an awakened Kennesaw right in front of our eyes. It's the best we've seen them all weekend now, but if they can't find this game, man, it's going to hurt if you can't find it. And it goes for WCTC as well. Both teams, some very awkward goals, but also some very near peak level shots and peak level touches. Flitz will try and get it going once again for Kennesaw. Has a chance to double. It's bumped off it, and Neeks lands right on the top of it, and Dimitri gets the corner. Big moment here.
Dylan goes back in front, has that in barely just a zone, but Kronovi or Flitz not getting too aggressive. Don't want to give them a long shot chance. They get back into the other end, 1:45 into overtime now. We approach such a dangerous spot with Dimitri into that other end with Boost trying to find a teammate, but Kronovi able to stuff it up top, moving to that corner. Waukesha Tech has to hit the drawing board. Neeks tries to go down the good stuff. Dimitri with another chance. In front, it's Dylan and Kronovi. They double, but they get it away into that corner. Ty with more resources. Over to Neeks. Back to himself. Just put too far into that corner. It's an awkward angle. He can't get there. Neeks still able to center it. Kennesaw just not getting it out of their zone. Struggling, stuffed at every corner. There's no boost for Waukesha Tech. Oh, no. Getting their head hammered in. It feels like every opportunity to clear.
Flitz can't get the corner boost as well, so WCTC might have a free chance unless they all whip. Kronovi to call game. He's the mountain! And you better climb it if you want to beat Kennesaw.
3 whips for Waukesha Tech is what ends it. Neeks has to make a decision there. When Kronovi's in that spot, he's always going to make the wrong one. He's got the adjustment there, and it is simple math. He mentioned the mountain. This one's K2 on the flat-facing side. Nobody's scaled it, feels like, in a very long time.
Kronovi, 5 goals in the 2 games. And Kennesaw has all of a sudden won in a row now, and they look quite wonderful, and they got to be happy. Well, maybe not thrilled, but at least slightly joyed with the way they're starting to move now. And you may see Flitz on the scoreboard. You're like, what is he doing? No, I promise you he's playing his role. 2 assists and also 77 ball touches. I do believe that might be the highest we've seen on stream. I think it's close to that if it isn't, but...
Dimitri then at 75, by the way, to point out what kind of game that was. But again, we had 7.5 minutes. I'm pretty sure that's the longest we've gone.
And it could have gone either way. I mean, both those players had a lot of shots that should have gone in. And Grits, it's not because they missed. It's because the defense was so formidable.
We look at two teams that are entirely so different in how they play, but the spread offense, it kind of feels like when you're talking about, I don't know, if we're hoping anybody older watching this, Appalachian State in 2006, you're just running slants in the Michigan Wolverines, the Big House, the first game ever on the Big Ten Network. For those of you who are esports fans who don't know a lot about football, it's insane that Waukesha County even has a game right now on Kennesaw. But what's happening here is it feels like that generator that Kennesaw State has is waking up. Flitz, such a powerful playmaker, finally getting it together, it feels like, and Kennesaw is now in a complete has this other Owl squad in a lock.
Well, in case you don't understand Carson's wonderful sports references, I'll give a more general one. Like Nick Saban said, you better run that slant or you're going to be in the ghetto. And that's what's going to happen here in Losers Bracket if you don't find your way there. So without further ado, 20 seconds in already, a Kennesaw double commit will get us hot and ready into this one. WCTC on their back foot for the first time in what feels like forever.
Immediately what you see so often with Kennesaw is just how they can get it going when Kronobi and Flitz are working together. And Dylan, some great plays earlier, but he had it on defense. That's all that Kennesaw needs out of him. If he can continue that, it's going to be a good game. They will win, regardless if it's 1-0. They don't need to focus on scoring. They need to keep their defense up because Waukesha County, when they are on, cannot score.
Already a minute in. Here comes Flitz off the ceiling. You have Kronobi if you want it, but Ty is actually there to read between the two. Neeks has to be careful. Did not want to go middle. Gives a wide open look after just panicking in front of his net. WCTC do not play with worry, at least maybe not in this semester. This is a team who, again, has grown very heavily. I'm starting to see some of their old ways start to crawl back. And if you're Coach Ryan right now, I'm sure that you cannot wait for that first goal to get to talk to him and try and say, look, guys, calm down. We know we're the better team. We know we could beat them before, but Kennesaw is playing like a much different team than what they were yesterday.
Yeah. One thing to note is, yes, coaches cannot talk to the players during the game at all,
also
which
true.
is not traditional for sports A or anything. It's kind of like basketball where, like, you know that coach isn't getting hurt in that long end. Ty makes a very... I don't know if that was intentional because that was so...
Definitely not intentional. That was not
awkward. Yeah. On the other end, Dimitri will get a reinforcement after that 50. He's the only one back. He needs to touch it unless Ty will go away. Yes, he will. Not common now that we're seeing at the Waukesha County squad go back into it and take a safe route to the ball.
WCTC as well, they're trying to keep on playing these fakes, these plays that they're going to try and bait a Kennesaw player in. Kennesaw are not playing to be baited anymore. They are playing to, again, set the pace, set the tone, and they've got to go for more of what Ty just went for. You need more bumps, you need more demos. You need to actually open up lanes with your physicality. You can't rely on the mental game that you had yesterday against Kennesaw because, again, they are reborn, and we're already halfway through what is now a scoreless game number 4, as I almost jinxed it there, but Kennesaw's not done yet.
Smash mouth is how Waukesha Tech has been playing all really tournament. You're seeing Kennesaw State really trying to answer that now. Dimitri with a great juke on Dylan. They get past 2. There's going to be boost to go around. No, there won't in that corner, excuse me, as it's already been taken. Over to Ty, though. It's a fantastic shot. Kronobi's there, and the third chance won't come for Neek, something that we haven't seen a lot. Is that third chance not going for Waukesha Tech? Dylan takes a wild high shot there. Flitz going for another there, but it'll give Waukesha Tech the ability to rebound at least a moment. No, it won't. Nobody's got any boost.
Dylan tried to get back on it after, I believe it was Flitz or Kronobi who got a massive bump. I think it was Flitz who got it, but not enough boost for either one of them to do much more. Ty up and over a few! Ty, reset, catch, and a dunk on your forehead.
Interception is the real way to feel about it. When you make one miss, you muscle it past Flitz there on that right side. Fantastic technical ability from Waukesha County Technical College.
You're bold for even saying the full name.
I mean, it's. At least I live close enough to where I feel like I should know. I checked. They did send me emails, and when I was in high school.
For those of you who missed stream yesterday, we had a very funny moment where I tried to make some of our casters guess where some schools were from. Obviously, Waukesha Tech is one of those schools that if you are not familiar with Collegiate Rocket League or Collegiate Esports in general, then you wouldn't know about them unless you're from up north. But how about we go down south? And Kennesaw and Flitz want to travel now.
It's the peach state for a reason, and that one is sweet, as the peach is the technically second sweetest fruit about, I believe, in terms of how it actually reacts on the human tongue. But for that one, I'm going to give it the first. A beautiful delicious goal, like I can't think of any peach pastry. I'm not.
Whoa, wait a minute. It might be sweet here for just a second, but Kennesaw, it'll be a little sour for the moment. We're under 90 to go now. You'll take a player on one, but Dimitri, no boost to follow, just has to jump at that ball, and Neeks in a very impossible spot. Dylan actually will find Kurnovi, who wants to set up Flitz. Ty, no boost. That ball's not down. Holy redirect from Dimitri. Dylan wants to call game, however. How about an insurance goal? Barring down. Somehow hit the top side of the bar, and the physics of this wonderful game made it bounce straight down and up. That's a rare occurrence there, and all Flitz and company and Kennesaw bumping each other as well, but they take possession, they reset. Flitz is already over one, but Kurnovi's getting absolutely bounced around right now, and Neeks is going to try and keep the pressure on. WCTC again have to win this game to stay alive.
How loud that crossbar and post sound effect is, it feels like some of these players' ears have to be ringing. They've been hitting it all night. Both teams have been feeling like that has been their MVP. Neeks going for a second shot. Was a good attempt from Ty and Dimitri set up, but looking back at the other end, what you're seeing now, Neeks, watch this camera because he has not been here. They've been running three on the offensive end almost the entire time. They're being way more careful. It's a great adjustment, I would have to say, from their coach on that other side from Wisconsin. Very good feelings.
That's again Coach Ryan, whose mom is here with him as well. I believe I misspoke on that yesterday. I gotta make sure I get that right. What a sweet woman that she is, and she has been with the team for so long, and I know that she wants nothing more than to see these guys make a grand final. They've got to get it right here, right now, can potentially win this game with a tie double tap around a few, but double Kennesaw defenders will ensure that doesn't happen. Neeks up and over one. Blitz will find Dylan. Dylan's going to try and find Kurnovi off the backboard, potentially. He's already up from left field! 0 seconds! Kennesaw is back and in blood!
Talons come down. Kurnovi, a fantastic read. He goes from coast to coast himself. The ball doesn't, but just a beautiful goal. And I mean, what else can you expect from the guy? That is a takeover from a guy that you know needed to step up today after yesterday's loss. Waukesha Tech will fall out of Sunday contention.
Kurnovi keeps it simple. 3 games, 3 MVPs. That was their 3 wins. We're going to forget game 1 even happened at this point, because just like that, WCTC, one of our hottest stories of the day, gone and knocked out of the tournament. That right there, I cannot believe that is even a sentence I have to utter, but also Kennesaw moving on, that's one that I did predict in the first place. And Kurnovi leading the way was not my bingo card either. He looks incredible, and he wants this one bad.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously tell that is taking way more shots, had obviously way more touches than his teammates once again. That's the big thing that you're seeing when you have a guy who wants to win this badly in the later half of their careers. They want to win, and they get antsy. That's why veterans press too much in those high clutch situations. But Kurnovi, you will see a guy who, when they get into pressure, when it gets bad, it turns them into a diamond, and a fantastic job by them in Kennesaw to move on into this further into this tournament, into these loser bracket. But when you get stuck with Winthrop, with that Daytona State, and then into Winthrop. If you did win, they knew they were going to be here pretty much either way. They've got another chance later, but very good feelings all around, you probably guess.
Well, and I want to hear about those feelings. I want to get Kurnovi for an interview, but I was looking for one of our wonderful TOs. You want to grab Kurnovi for an interview, my friend? The guy in the beanie right here? Right. There you go. Let's get Kurnovi for an interview. Why not? We'll just signal him over. And again, shout out to my wonderful team and our staff team who are just hard at work. You want to do an interview real quick? Oh my gosh. My favorite coworker, Mr. Kurnovi. Good to see you, my friend. Also, what a bounce back from you guys today. A whole new Kennesaw day. What was behind that?
Well, we look back at how we were slow to start, on day one. The combo of me, Flitz, and Dylan is not something we practice a whole lot at Kennesaw because we were practicing me, TNT, Dylan for SEL. So we did some scrims, but really we've just been getting like a little bit better every day. And we couldn't quite figure it out against Daytona, went to game 5. We felt like we were better in that series, but we just kind of played a bad game 5. But that one, I think we're playing the way we should. I'm feeling a lot better. And Flitz is like doing it all on offense and defense. Like I think Flitz is stepping up so much on defense when you expect him to be the mechanical guy.
Well, we mentioned that, but we also mentioned you stepping up in the shooting department too. I mean, your dependability is something that we talked about on stream many times before, but also Dylan filling his role as first man very well as well. So obviously on the back end, you guys have learned. Now we've moved on. Now what's next for Kennesaw? Obviously our eyes are on grand finals, I'm sure.
Well, the road to grand finals is full of our rematches. We got one grudge match from groups out of the way. We got to get our revenge against Daytona next. And then we played Bruton Parker so many times, assuming that's going to be them. Winthrop are just gods. You know, I expect them to be waiting in the grand final if we get there. But I think we have a lot of momentum to build, and I'm excited with the system we have, and everybody's doing their job, and that's what happens when you play good Rocket League.
Well, one last thing I'll say as well, your parents were here last year. I believe it's your girlfriend, correct?
Yes.
Who's here this year. What does it mean to have that level of support behind you? And not only that, but Kennesaw support with Sterling here, their director as well.
I mean, you love having people behind you cheering for you. It makes everything hype. I mean, I played on the big lands and everything, but when you've got people yelling and screaming behind you for a 0-second game winner, you know, my hands are still, the adrenaline rush is still there. It's so fun. So I love everybody here.
Well, awesome, dude. Best of luck throughout the rest of the day through your losers bracket run, and congratulations on surviving. That's Kronovi, a saint of a human being. Love him to death. My coworker for XP League and also through Kansas City Pioneers as well. A very good friend of mine, and also a very good representation of Collegiate Rocket League and what it can do for pro careers as well. I mean, he was somebody who, it was a very big shock signing that he even was at Kennesaw. And CRL is not a full grind type of thing for Kennesaw right now, but they want to win. And they still do want to adjust. They want to make those changes. I talked about it in game one. You have to make those changes. We know they can make them. And like Kronovi said, they knew they could make them too. They just had to actually execute.
Going to be over-reliance on him because you don't over-rely on a guy like that. He can step up no matter what. A brief shout-out, you mentioned their support crew. His girlfriend has the most insane Pokemon collection I've ever seen in my life. She pulls out her phone. I kid you not. So there's this bar app where it's like, so your collection, it's like 1% like where you are in terms of the world. That is all the way to the right. She's in the 99th percentile in terms of value in her collection in the world. So that's all, but you got to say, that is impressive. Very impressive.
Well, I mean, also our production crew has been pulling packs as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure, and you did as well. I mean, I think profit-wise, I think you guys are above almost $2,000 in terms of all three of you on the backside.
We're well close.
So, anyways, it has been an absolute day. Production's telling me that it's under 2K, but I'm just going to be nice and say so.
Depending on grading.
Yeah, got to get them graded. Got to get them graded. But on that note, we got to grade the competition the other day as well. We'll see if they're a PSA 10. We come back from the break. Spin Carson's and DJ TJ. Don't go anywhere.
Impossible. We love that word. It's a challenge to explore the unknown, to sculpt the skylines, to map the human mind, and propel humanity to the edges of Earth. At Georgia Tech, we are determined to forge a better tomorrow because the world is counting on us. Impossible. It's not just a challenge, it's a calling.
Welcome back to the Dreamhack Collegiate Invitational, where we're sticking around for the upper bracket. Had a banger of a lower bracket set, ending with a clanger on 0 seconds, but now it's jumping up to the teams that have not yet lost in bracket play. Carson, you think this is the time Winthrop gets upset?
You know, that time may never come, and I am, unfortunately, for the those who know me, I'm a very big underdog believer. I just don't think this is a hill you can climb too often. Winthrop been a fantastic team all season, fantastic team everywhere they've gone. Bruton Parker just doesn't seem like the team to me that's going to be able to do it. But again, we have seen crazier things happen on stages just like this.
Hey, Bruton Parker looked very effective earlier on in that series we watched of theirs, where all 3 members on the ball looked on point. And that's not something you always get with Bruton Parker, where everyone is playing their A game. And maybe this is their time here at the DreamHack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational. They've come up short a couple of times now in this very venue. So maybe this is the tournament where they finally find that A++ game.
The big thing I think you notice is team's got a very high floor. That floor is way higher than so many other programs in the entire country. But their ceiling is so unknown, because when they are together and playing like they did earlier against Waukesha County, that is a team that is so hard to deal with. When they are all together, it feels like they're all kind of fused into one player, where they've all got a complete understanding of what's going on. They can always make that second or third pass.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, honestly, Winthrop may not have any answer, because you can't beat a team that is currently just locked in with each other at like a level of Dragon Ball fusion.
Well, if there was a team to have the answers against Bruton Parker, it would be Winthrop, a squad that has competed at the very top of CRL all season long. One of the biggest D1 names to emerge at the top of competitive Rocket League over the course of the last several months, and it's nice to have them, quite honestly. We'll see if they do allow Bruton Parker a close series, which obviously I think you and I are rooting for, but I was talking, you know, T. Carell and I go way back. I was like, Game 5 for the content, maybe yes, and he said no, unfortunately, so that notion has been shut down. I think Winthrop won out of this one very, very quickly.
They have to play in a way that's going to be conclusive to them. They are going to try and get rid of Bruton Parker's hope as soon as possible. Got to find a goal early if you're that Barons squad, but ironically, being called the Barons, they don't have a control of a lot of space against Winthrop. They are very heavy into the demos very early. A lot of physical play coming out. Bruton Parker really struggled when they faced that earlier yesterday. The main reason they didn't against Waukesha County is because they didn't see too much of it, as that nearly could have been a goal if anybody was there to reinforce.
That felt like a warning shot, just a little bit off from scoring the opening goal here in Game 1. Winthrop already looking pristine with their passing game. Bruton Parker, that's what they shut down in their last series to get to this point. So if they can beat WCTC and their strong passing game, then who's to say that they can't do the same against Winthrop, nullify one part of that attack. But right now it is all Winthrop. A lot of pressure mounting in the Barons' end, and Antics had all his boost drained by an aggressive stance from Winthrop, trying to harass the last man of BPCU, but they're unsuccessful, so now it's their turn to retreat.
Big thing they need to focus on is trying to find big clears that result in chances just like that, while also kind of parking the bus. Don't want to have a transition game that is going to result in you giving up a goal. And while you're still trying to get back on defense, you want to always be back on defense. If the team is potent as Winthrop on that side, trying to score on you, you can see just how well they can connect with each other. Percy, it's going to be top right. Won't be in, but a second chance from Corral, does not go.
A clean shot stopped by Cass. Garrett G has his crack at opening up the scoring, but Bruton Parker are somehow holding it together. Bits and pieces and all on their goal line, as this has been unrelenting from Winthrop to start us off here. On things to come as their offense is slowly really getting going and finally breaking the silence. Took a half a game of Rocket League and Winthrop's on the board.
Fundamentals, and I'm curious, yeah, he didn't really move for a few moments there because he knew nobody was going to contest it, knew where he needed to be, set themselves up very good there. For Winthrop, who now obviously takes that 1-0 lead. And again, you have to understand, for Bruton Parker, that is a 2-on-1. You need to win those defensive opportunities if you're going to win this game. Cannot have that repeat again, but almost another chance here as Milk gets forced away on a bump.
Can't afford misreads against Winthrop. Bruton Parker learning that lesson at the very least early on, but looking to find a way back now, and their offense has not had a whole lot of purchase against Winthrop's strong midfield structure, and that's sort of always been the issue with Bruton Parker. Very good at beating the WCTCs, the Kennesaw States, the Daytona States. It's why they're in this winter final. But when it comes to the top dogs in the CRL space, that is where Bruton Parker tends to fall. And right now, it is a pretty null and void attack from the Barons so far.
Obviously, Cass, one of the big portions there of getting them to where they are right now. Some big improvements. A very big bump in the middle, but again, there's just nobody there to reinforce it. Bruton Parker way too stretched out after Winthrop's offense going for another there. A ill chance in vain, though. Need to keep the pressure on, though. Milk has a opportunity in the middle. If Garrett can't handle it, they will, though. As you expected Winthrop at every turn to just do so well. Garrett going, oh my goodness, golly.
They don't even erupt with that ring from Garrett G. I mean, he dunks the heck out of Milk right here. A perfect read coming off the defender on the steal. That's not just a standard bounce he's getting in the way of. Garrett G dunks Milk's touch and scores a second for Winthrop, and that's standard for these guys. They don't get excited. That's just another day at the office for Garrett G and the boys.
Yeah, that's unfortunately one where you become a poster child there and spoiled, if you will, for Milk there. That's not great. Another chance in front. Garrett can't connect with it. I don't even know where Garrett was headed on that one, but certainly didn't link up fully. Getting a little bit silly on the chances. Winthrop definitely comfortable, we mentioned earlier, and they are going to be a lot more aggressive on the offense because they want to show out and show that they have these high-flying goals, and they know how to put pressure on, but this is where they can get it. When misses like that come in, they can get a second chance, but very hard to get through what has been a fantastic Winthrop defensive rotation.
A challenge one for Winthrop. A small retreat into defense, and then immediate restart of their attack. Looking for 3 now. Also not allowing much space for Bruton Parker's offense to work with. Vicarel stopping that, diming Percy up. It's a big clear for Winthrop, but Bruton Parker actually still are hanging around in this RNGen, and that's what they need to be doing here at the end of game 1. They need 2 in 20 seconds, and right now it's all they look like they'll get 2 chances to score, let alone 2 full-fledged goals.
Yeah, definitely a comfortable start here, I think, for that Winthrop side, representing the Carolinas in northern South Carolina, I believe, as very much a comfortable one, I think you see here, as you said. They'll go through it. They'll get game 1 officially as it touches the ground here. Winthrop takes a 1-0 lead in the series and winners finals, and 1 step closer to grands, which I think was kind of the expectation, though yesterday when we saw them lose a game from Daytona State, there was certainly not... I would say fractions of doubt, but I think doubt was certainly in still a lot of fractions there. Got to find a way to get past that Winthrop defense. So many shots. You would think that coming from that Winthrop side and such a dominant offensive possession, only 2 more.
Yeah, Daytona State played Winthrop close, maybe more of a side of Daytona State's and the level that they've showed at this LAN event, as opposed to Winthrop looking like a weaker side than we expected. I was wondering how they would adapt to the LAN environment because, I mean, these guys, being that they've played at the top level of competitive Rocket League, are probably more used to the cleaner, maybe less noisy LANs where people aren't standing right behind you talking about something completely different or watching over your shoulder every move that you make on the sticks. But they've really adjusted quite nicely. They seem to just be LAN boys. No matter the LAN, no matter the size, no matter the environment, Winthrop seem pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's underrated. You should always, if you are looking to prepare for a LAN, in my experience, as a guy who's never played competitively at a high level, even in like the game's ranked system, what I found for sports is that when you have somebody that you know who's really annoying, don't like it when your mom is constantly talking over you during a ranked game, have your mom do that, because that's the highest pressure you're going to get at LAN. There's nothing worse than someone you know you can't tell to be quiet, going to not be quiet behind you when you're trying to get a ranked game, trying to focus on something else. So that's my word of advice here as we go back into it. Winthrop, again, starting with a lot of heavy chances off of a face-off.
Bruton Parker definitely have the guy that you don't want if you're the other team getting loud, and that is Kyler. He is ready to erupt on the BPCU side. Him, Wish, and Kojo from the loudest voices in the CRL space, but Winthrop have not given Bruton Parker much to get loud about. I mean, nothing really getting going in game 1 for the Barons, and that still seems to kind of be the case here in game 2, unless Cass can change that. A pot shot on the target, stopped by Garrett G's. Winthrop had the numbers to deal with that opportunity for the Barons.
A lofty shot onto that net side is okay. Yeah, so that's some basic math that you just do not see often, and hopefully you can hear Bruton Parker in my microphone. They are getting loud now, as you mentioned. That is an insane goal, a rocket off of a wall double tap. I think that counts as a pinch because of how he touched it, but jeez.
Crazy tight angle. Antics converting on what was pretty much an open net in spectacular fashion. A highlight reel and a half. You don't get those often on open nets, but it will start the scoring off for Bruton Parker and get their faithful loud as they have an advantage over Winthrop, and Cass wants to add to it, though he is stopped this time around.
3:50 remaining into this game two here. Dominant so far from Winthrop up until this point. Have their first deficit, I believe, of honestly, I think the day. I don't think they went down earlier at all from what I did see in that bracket. A lot of shutouts. So Bruton Parker finally getting something going. Need to keep the pressure on, though. Garrett in the middle. It's a dangerous zone, but Santix is there. Again, playing hero, not as a goal this time, instead on the defensive end. Into the other side, as they get a chance, Corral will corral it. Into the other side as Milk able to try and push it away. Well held by Bruton Parker, who's just making sure they don't stick in the offensive zone. If they can deal with 4 shots again, they can definitely squeak a win out 1-0.
They are gearing up for a strong attack now. Bruton Parker with some bumps demos and outbraining Winthrop. Found themselves in a pretty good spot. A couple of demos actually do lead to a second goal for Bruton Parker. Big time explosion on the orange end as Antics best T-Corral right there as the ball fall back to him and an open net to shoot on. He'll take that.
Very good there from, I believe it was Milk, who just lets that one go to his teammate. That's well-aware play. We mentioned this Bruton Parker squad. When they are together, when they are playing 100%, it's hard to stop them. But Winthrop down 2-0 here. Not something they've been familiar with in this tournament. And something they will still be familiar with. A good go, but we had a perfect car block, so we were just playing without a goal. Angle there, Cass into the offensive end, trying to get 3 into that goal lead. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Don't count out that squad from Carolina just yet.
Oh, Percy does find the demo to set up Garrett G, but Cass somehow gets between ball and goal at the very last moment. Look like a surefire Winthrop opening back into game 2, but they will still have to work for it. T-Corral collecting with a reset, but that's all he gets. Bruton Parker get in the way because now they've got a multi-goal lead. They can play like we saw him playing earlier at WCTC, where they're just in the way of everything, conserving resources for their stands on their goal line, because against Winthrop, I don't think they're going to be really pressing for a third goal unless that opportunity really presents itself.
Sometimes when you play the game like you're at the net and you're trying to score, it'll buy a few more moments. Let you set up a little bit longer, let your teammates get a few more resources. A good feeling all around when you are that Bruton Parker squad, when you can find a win and you can find a game here. But again, they still have to play it here. Very close again for Winthrop on those 2 chances. Percy gets a one-timer opportunity, can't put it on net. Milk will collect, bring it to the other side. Corral missed that one, but Garrett G will put it into the offensive end. Again for Winthrop, who's still looking for their first goal in this game too. 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining.
Cass will be the first man, and Antics follows up nicely. T-Corral's been bested in the 50 game, but has backup. Garrett G gets the ball to him, and Percy was waiting down the field, trying to make something happen, and all of that investment into the attack meant that Garrett G was all alone in defense for a moment, but he stretches for a save to keep this game within reach somewhat, but more time that dwindles off the clock, the more out of grasp the second game gets for Winthrop, and Bruton Parker, if they can get rolling early on, might have a shot at the upset.
You have to imagine what you need to do is not run out of luck for Bruton Parker at this late stage, and it appears that they may not. They've been using anything but that, playing fantastically defensively, rotationally. Garrett into that corner has to able, kind of puts it down as Xantix. Awkward touch, a bit sawed off, gets demoed. He becomes sawed in half. Percy in the front, that's a shot, can't collect. 40 seconds remain, and Winthrop suddenly now in striking distance with 1 goal.
And don't look now, but the object in the mirror is closer than it appears. A 1-goal lead for Bruton Parker is not safe with 40 seconds left against Winthrop. They've shown they can score almost at will with that quick shot from the corner, and Cass did well to almost get a read on it, but unfortunately he was just a bit off, bumped off his line by Winthrop's attack, and showing a threatening face here late in game 2. Let's see what else Winthrop's got.
Trying to kill time for Bruton Parker. It's exactly what Cass is doing here, but he's hoping to continue to. But into the other end, in the air, they've been so dominant. Winthrop interrupted by Cass in that playmaking opportunity, but Percy will have a shot on. Milk will put it wide. 14 seconds remain. Corral into that corner, as Milk watches Cass put it in the other end.
3 guys all with plenty of boost. Winthrop are well equipped for a 0-second push for an equalizer, and the ball does hang off the ground. Milk with a tough read has put his teammates in a rough spot. Antics has very little boost, still manages to challenge Percy, and that's enough to get Bruton Parker over the line on Forbidden Temple, and our series is tied.
Yeah, that's a scary one. That is a very, very scary one. Two great chances at the end for Winthrop, but Bruton Parker, whether they don't run out of luck or whether they play it better, they find their way into a Game 2 victory here, now tied at 1-1. Not sure you would have taken the Bruton Parker Barons as the team to take a game off here, but, you know, anything could happen. We talked about what happened to West Virginia last year, so...
Hey, anyone can do it. On land, anything is possible. Obviously, you have your heavy favorites, but it is a different environment that we're playing in. Winthrop is not safe, despite their stature, all throughout the tournament and in general across the greater CRL space. Winthrop has shown a little bit of weakness in that game, as they had openings that Bruton Parker were able to exploit. The well-timed demo game of BPCU, a staple of their game across the many previous iterations of this Baron starting lineup, showing itself in Game 2 to great success.
I mean, the big thing you're also seeing, demos, was the one thing I wanted to point out during that stat section, is that was a 5-5 tie in demos. That did not happen the first game. It was about 7-1, I believe. That first game in favor of Winthrop. Now they're matching it. They've been adapting all day to what other teams have been playing. They obviously saw that Waukesha County scouting report. They played them perfectly. Now they go against Winthrop. They're playing completely different, but they're still in line. They're still doing what they've been doing, a lot slower than what they've had to do earlier. But as long as they can keep themselves in control, keep doing everything perfectly, then I guess you can win. Perfect's hard to ask for, but they got it in Game 2.
Well, for that heavy demo game to work, you got to have trust in defense, and there, Bruton Parker have that trust ripped to shreds by Percy out of the corner. A phenomenal bump job on Milk, taking him clean off the ball, and that is a ball-sized hole for Garrett to shoot through, but you know he's good for it.
Yeah, it's certainly a rough one. You don't like playing from behind ever. It makes it much more difficult. Much more difficult as I move my mic away from my mouth. So hard to play that properly when you are down, so now Bruton Parker is forced to play aggressive, and Winthrop, it kind of goes into their talons now. They go back on that other side, going for another early goal opportunity here. Percy pushing into the offensive end. Seems like they've woken up a little bit more. A lot more chances in these first few moments than it feels like the entirety of Game 2. That one barely wide. More saves at the line for Bruton Parker. The Barons just really capitalism. They own all the goals.
Weren't able to find an extra touch off the clear. Antics was out 50 by a Winthrop player, and so it's more possession for Winthrop. Garrett G out of the corner now. Going to get something going, but Milk does well to best him and the next man up for Winthrop. D. Corral looking to get something going as well, but gets swallowed up in the corner here. Winthrop being slowed down at the very least by Bruton Parker, but the Barons need to clear. They don't just need stops at the moment. They need stops plus decent amount of resources and positioning to break out of their defensive half and stay out.
3 minutes and 40 seconds now, time draining, and what you're noticing is this one so much more difficult, for Bruton Parker to get out of their zone. It feels completely different now, where we had a team that was very offensively inclined, could get the transition game in front, nearly a score there. Percy can't get past two defenders. Bruton Parker still struggling as it gets brought back to that top by that Winthrop side. Corral centers it. Going to be hard for Percy to get down with this. We'll go for a double tap, but intercepted by Milk into that corner as it's too slow. It's still staying in that offensive end. They'll delay a little longer, but Bruton Parker now is shot here with Garrett kind of intercepting it again into that other end. Might go coast to coast trying to give it to his teammate, but all four players on that side clash together. Garrett nearly going top.
This is suffocating. Winthrop are not allowing Bruton Parker to play the game of Rocket League that they want. There's so much pressure, forcing double commit after double commit off that Baron back line, and here T. Corral backs off. I mean, one of the biggest brains in the CRL space. T. Corral's been doing this for maybe longer than anybody else in the scene. He has been around the CRL space for a minute. And you couple that with his RLCS experience, and that guy knows how to play around his own game sense and using it to prevent Bruton Parker from getting easy setups in the offensive zone. They've got space now. They can work their way into a decent position, but it's going to take a while. And Winthrop are going to prolong that timer with a strong clear down the field, and potentially a second. Antics did enough to fake a player off the read.
Garrett Aguilar covered corner. Very well played by Bruton Parker, intentionally or not. He did give a centering pass to T. Corral, but kind of saw it off. Couldn't really do anything with how fast it got there without the resources they had. Garrett will start an offensive chance for Winthrop very slowly in the other end. Xantix will counter it, and now suddenly you've got 2-on-2 in that other end. Numbers advantage for Burton Parker for a moment. They can't capitalize. Percy and Garrett return to that side. T-Corral, more like T-Corral, really. It's a golden corral. It's all you can eat, it feels like, at a certain point. They are starving for a goal. He has been so good at playmaking. They need him to rise up at some point here. I don't think one of those is going to be good enough to win this, because Burton Parker suddenly, finally, getting offensive chances.
Nice reach from Garrett G. Baited a guy in that didn't make any contact as a result of the extra touch from Garrett, but now he's going backwards, and with Milk lurking in enemy territory, that could have been dangerous, but Percy helps with cleanup, and Milk actually has an opening on the backboard. Garrett, though, gets back for the read, and he is coming up clutch. Some of these late touches making Burton Parker think the play's going one direction, and he reverses it with a touch going the other way. That one extends down the field, and this is still nice control from Winthrop, though Burton Parker are doing nicely to battle back and gain space to operate in, which is a stark contrast how the first 2 minutes of this game went.
Yeah, just a full, felt like blowout coming after Winthrop scored that early goal, but might be the only one we see Burton Parker playing some fantastic defense. Winthrop unable to break through that kind of full front line here. Milk in that middle, it's been great once they've gotten out of their zone. Milk! Oh, what a goal! He makes it one miss, muscles the other.
There we go, the Milkman delivering. Plenty of boost and a lot of space. That's a recipe for success when you toss a little milk onto it. 1-1 with less than a minute to play, and Burton Parker are keeping up with Winthrop. At times it feels like they're a step behind, but at the very least, they are keeping these games manageable and within striking distance for their star in Milk in this series.
All you need is a few good moments and avoid the bad ones, but in front, Burton Parker forced to play so much defense. Somehow Winthrop doesn't get too aggressive on that one. Opt to go for a defensive route with 20 seconds remaining. Don't want to give up a goal on that other end. It's a save at the line by Corral. Has to go into that other end now still as Burton Parker makes one miss. A second opportunity, but Percy with a game-saving save potentially. 5 seconds remain. Turtle Cass will put it into the other end. Has that off that wall, but it will be anyone there to defend. Percy to Garrett for the win. Save on the line. We have overtime.
Stressful one here in Game 3. Winthrop and Burton Parker going at it with a spot in the grand finals on the line for the winner of this series, and he'll take the game advantage that comes with. Now we get overtime in an all-important Game 3 with Percy coming off the ceiling, but Burton Parker don't bite. Now it's a 2-on-1. We got a blocker for Milk. It's an open net and a win for the Barons. They come out of nowhere and steal Game 3 away.
Hard-nosed, ground game Rocket League. Xantix is playing fullback, and he's letting his running back go all the way. Wow, 2-1. The Barons have the lead in this BO7.
Wow is right. So you thought, watching those first couple of minutes, I think we all thought that was going to be Winthrop solidifying their game after a tough Game 2 to get into. But no, 2 minutes of a full frontal offensive yield one goal. That ends up not being enough. When you said that one goal wasn't going to be enough to win the game, I doubted you. I thought Winthrop definitely could protect a one-goal lead, but I was wrong. The Barons came to play.
That is a fantastic response. You need a team that is going to do it without a coach, because you mentioned the coaches can only talk to these players in between goals or during that goal replay. That is a team that on their own made the adjustments they needed to without the help. They knew what they had to do to win that game. They adjusted with 3 minutes to go. Suddenly, it felt like Winthrop wasn't going to get that many chances later in the game. You get down to 2 minutes, 1 minute. Okay, suddenly we're playing a different game right now. Where Winthrop can't get in the offensive end, and they didn't really. One last shot at the line for the win. They go wide. A beautiful save. I could say about half the ones that Burton Parker made. They played on their head. 2016 Carey Price. I can make so many sports references, but all I can tell you is that was the performance of a lifetime from that Burton Parker defense.
Well, they need 2 more games of it. They're only halfway to a victory and the grand final spot, but the Barons with an opportunity to do what no one else has in this tournament so far, and that's beat this Winthrop team that came in as heavy favorites, especially after Akron Blue dropped out. Thought we were going to be losing our biggest opportunity to take this title away from Winthrop as obvious tournament favorites, but it looks like Burton Parker have something to say about that. If they can get through this series relatively unscathed, actually no, any sort of scathing that comes along with a win win is good for Bruton Parker, and they put themselves in a great spot for the rest of this tournament.
I mean, at up to 1, this is still a very long series. It's a BO7 now here in winners finals, and the important thing to note is, hey, this is not one that's going to end so quickly. You still have to get more. I mean, in all sports and esports, when you are in those BO7s, it's still about 55, only 55% of the time the team up to 1 wins. You need to stay locked in. That was a great moment. You need to keep that energy for this one. Up 3-1 is one where you can't get comfortable. You never take your foot off the gas for Bruton Parker. They're kind of in another similar situation, but going a little bit better for them. Like that last game, finally getting out of their defensive zone.
Winthrop will adjust. The 50-50 game that Bruton Parker were able to take away from Winthrop in game 3 will improve, and they'll get a read on how the Barons like to play. It's a matter of time now. 3 savvy veterans of the game, both RLCS and CRL on that Winthrop side. Well, let's see what they do to get themselves back in this series after losing 2 in a row, as Milk finds a clean victory at the midfield line. An extra couple of touches on the ball. Carell swoops in, wins the subsequent 50-50, finds a clear to boot.
3:18 as we get closer to more of these low-scoring games. It feels like defensive masterminds on both sides of this ball. Everybody in net feels like an octopi. They've got 8 arms anywhere this ball is. It feels like somebody's there to make a save. Except when you get Percy on a masterful shot. Paint. I didn't even recognize that could go in. Watch how well he plays this off the wall. Goes top down. Cass can only witness and bear witness to a 1-0 Winthrop lead.
And poor Milk being targeted again on the goal line by a Winthrop demo or bumper, as this time it was T. Carell turning away from the play, seeing the space that Percy had to shoot, and realizing that was an opportunity to find a bump or a demo on the goal line, whatever you get. This time around, it's a full-on explosion, removing a Baron from the field of play, but Winthrop can't find a second immediately after breaking this goal-scoring silence at the start of game 4, though they are still posturing for that second. They just have to take the ball away from the Barons now.
Playing in the other half is very big for them. Percy goes top down. A fantastic interception from a Bruton Parker pass that goes wayward. Garrett collects there, gets it to his teammate Percy. Just a pass of beauty. You love to see it. As a general fan of the game, you don't see team plays like that at lower levels of the game. Just amazing for Winthrop, who now, I think a 2-goal lead is enough to have won any game in regulation so far, other than the last one. But very difficult at this point. We know how good these two teams can be, and Garrett going for another nearly an insane goal from top.
And Garrett G definitely still has it. That's that form that won him a world championship all those years ago. That right there couldn't get through the defense of Bruton Parker to score 3rd for Winthrop. Bruton Parker off the back of that stop are cementing themselves in the orange end. That's good speed from Milk, maybe a little bit faster. He would have found an easy 3rd goal, but a bit off the perfect angle on the ball to both beat Garrett G and place a shot on target. So no score for BPCU. They come away empty-handed again.
Phrase I love to use, Unk still got it. Garrett's not that old. I mean, esports, even pros are still pretty young either way. It's sports, pros are still pretty young, but get through the other end. Just fantastic when Winthrop is able to put it together as a team on the offensive end. Right now, for whatever reason, they haven't seen defense just like this for Bruton Parker, and they haven't seen transition games like this as they go off the post twice. The 3rd chance can't go. It's stumped at the line. Bruton Parker nearly a chance with a goal close, but that is very, very unfortunate. They can't convert.
Oh, that might fall in, actually. Big pinch secured by Percy. I don't know how he read where that ball was going to end up with a defender streaking back. Garrett G almost got the score. It was straight up off the sidewall pinch, but Percy helps secure it off of Milk as well. Again, bested by a Winthrop player on that Bruton Parker goal line. He really does feel targeted by this Winthrop attack.
Feels like this Bruton Parker squad has found the adjustments, or rather Winthrop has found the adjustments of this Bruton Parker squad, and it'll be up to the Barons to make another change here. See what they've been doing, change that up, make it difficult for them there. Cass bumped away, gives a lot of space for this Winthrop squad who's basically playing a track race down that other side, but their 100-meter goes towards Bruton Parker. They'll have the ability to take it out. bit safer as they waste time on that Winthrop side, going for another goal or just trying to get it through here. I think both teams have the general agreement at this point, general feeling that this one is over. But again, for Burton Parker, you can't feel like that ever in the series. When you go back on that back foot, that is when you lose the series. That is when you give the upper hand to the other side just because they are the favorites.
And what looks so strong for Burton Parker in the last series, a big part of their win condition last couple of games as well. A midfield challenge game is not working out for them at the moment. They've been bested by a Winthrop team that did adjust quite quickly after dropping 2 in a row. And so, last 10 seconds, very much a formality, as Winthrop will be tying this series up at 2 apiece. Guaranteed 6 in our upper bracket final, and quite honestly, for how dominant Winthrop have been through the group stage and the first couple of series in bracket play, I was not expecting a trip to at least game 6, so I'll take that.
I mean, they're 15-1 prior to this series, and now looking at a 17-3 team, which, oh yeah, wow, 17-3, that's so bad. They literally could have played every game and not lost a single series. They didn't. This is the closest a team has gotten to equalizing them. But is the best of 7 going to hurt Burton Parker? Where now your adjustments, you've still got a potential 3 more games to go. If you need to go the distance, 2 to win, need to find a way to lock it in. Can't let Winthrop come back down here and get you on a 3-2. You need to win this game. Obviously, it's different because you aren't going to lose the series if you lose this one. But I think if Burton Parker can't get this game 5, it's going to be over for them.
Yeah, I think odds of winning definitely do plummet if they aren't able to get game 5 over the line. And I'm sure Burton Parker know that. They're getting locked in right now. We'll see what kind of job Coach Corrupt does for them, adjusting from that game loss where Percy really found a shooting rhythm. Obviously had the help of Garrett G. Dimes and T. Corral running rampant along the Burton Parker goal line. But still, to see Percy shooting that comfortably here on land is a very good sign for Winthrop fans.
Yeah, you need to see somebody who's finally getting into it, finally relaxed, it feels like, where he's got that touch, that shot. It's going in. He's seen that go in now, so hoping for a little bit more out of him all weekend, even despite those dominant fashion victories. But they're finally getting it when they need it most against Burton Parker. The sleeping giant, if you will, has fully felt like it is at least waking. Educate a slow start whenever you want to go here.
Nice read there by Cass, and finds Milk as an outlet option. He's been good in transition. I don't think anybody on this Burton Parker roster plays better with pace than Milk does. He's good at quickly flipping the field, and here quickly getting up to meet T. Corral in the air as it looked like Winthrop were piecing together a quick counterattack to open the scoring up a lot earlier than we've seen in the last couple of games. And hey, we actually will get through. That looked easy from Percy. Just popped into the skies, let gravity do the rest of the work, and descended upon a first.
Yeah, I mean, that was poetic, as I think you made a good point there. I think you were pretty close to at least a haiku. I'd have to count the syllables, but I want to leave for Winthrop and definitely now feeling a different kind of feeling. Not like game 2, excuse me, where we're in a situation where there was just complete dominance on that other side from Winthrop, and they can come back, but they have to answer here soon. Cass trying to carry it into that other end. Still offensive chance for Burton Parker, but if they don't convert here soon, don't get momentum back in their direction, it could be all Winthrop, despite this being such a high-energy team, but they rely on the momentum and the energy from those goals.
Another race won by T. Corral. It's up quick to feel the half clear, though Burton Parker maintained presence in the offensive zone. Take a shot quickly at Percy on the near side post. Just a tester right there to pull the defense apart, waste some resources, and see what you can build off the next go-ahead from the midfield line as Milk jumps out in front of the play. First man for BPCU and sets up Cass and Antics to do the rest as Antics comes off the side wall, sets Milk up for a beat to the backboard. It's an open net, but that play was not developing close enough to the Winthrop goal to turn into a first for BPCU.
Top down, Percy trying to put it away on that left side. Was not going for a goal, obviously. That's his own net. T. Corral into that other corner with Garrett. They're playing a full trident in the air off the top, going away wide as one more shot goes away for Winthrop, giving it half for Burton Parker in the middle. Cass takes a big shot, goes wide to that top right corner as opposed to the last time he took one, top left corner. Burton Parker could easily have 2 goals if it had just gone a little better for them, if the angle had just been a little smoother.
Oh, Percy lethal with that shot. Good thing Cass was ready for it. keep this a one-goal affair, but every time Bruton Parker break out of their own half, feels like there are two Winthrop players with near full boost tanks ready to make a play on the goal line. I don't know how they get back so quickly, but still, only one goal for Winthrop. Not pulling punches just a tad to make sure they are fully invested in their defense, as Bruton Parker has shown they need to be fully locked in when trying to defend against this Bruton Parker counterattack, though Winthrop looking just as lethal at the moment, but without any extra goals to show for it until now.
I think the Barons obviously are of that nature in terms of like owning everything. It is what a Baron is, but I feel right now that the Winthrop side has a monopoly on this momentum game. It has just been absolutely absurd to try and deal with it on every end. They cannot be slowed down at the defensive end when they're focusing on it. They very clearly are. A lot of chances just not coming anywhere close to Bruton Parker. Need to wait for a mistake, it feels like, and it's just not one that comes too often from Winthrop.
2 goals out in front. Winthrop controlling the pace of this game. It feels like it's going to be 3-2 Winthrop, though the heroics on the goal line of Bruton Parker have at least kept this game close-ish. It could be a lot worse right now. It can always be a lot worse. Bruton Parker doing well to at least stop some of these high-quality chances that Winthrop are throwing at them, but there have been a lot of high-quality chances from the Winthrop attack. Now on the other side of the pitch, Bruton Parker actually get one of their own out of nowhere. Look at this develop.
Antics to himself off the wall. I mean, it's the kind of play Bruton Parker's going to have to keep going to, where you just got to do something absurd, something gross, disgusting. They're within one after what is a toe drag to himself, basically off of a wall. Not often you see a play like that. Fantastically done. They'll get back in the other end as Carell is being driven on top of by Cass, who's able to make a save. Garrett, second chance, off wide, left side. Xantix tries to deal with it. Not too much boost, but Cass alone. It's Percy. He's got to beat the race. Oh! Saving the game, at least for now, for Winthrop.
Oh, he breaks a Rule 1. Percy actually, in doing that, gets in Garrett G's way. He was ready to pounce on the play, given there was a Rule 1 developing. But, man, what a stop from Percy. Dodging the air dribble bump that's usually a surefire way to score. He's been doing it on both sides of the pitch. Scored the last 5 straight for Winthrop and prevented an all-important potential equalizer from Bruton Parker from going in. And now Garrett G in a one-on-one best Xantix and makes good on Percy's previous stop.
In isolation, it feels like Winthrop is just going to win every time, and that stays true here. Percy gives it to Garrett, and he jams it home. I got those two words confused and put together. 3-1 Winthrop lead, and again, you feel the brief, the faint knocking of a nail going into a coffin at this point if momentum can't return to the Bruton Parker side.
Percy's got plenty of boost, but so does Cass, though. Percy with the ball forces the Dutchman to hold off the sidewall challenge. Cass actually being able to enter the play, skims it over to Milk, who applies antics with the ball, but everyone from Bruton Parker is a little bit out of position until now. Milk cutting back will score a second, and the Barons are still in this thing.
The understanding to do what he just did here, to wait a little moment, not get antsy. Watch, he sees that, has the chance to do it, lets his teammate go through and basically drive through 2 players, muscles them out of the way, actually muscle them in the way technically, but when they're in the air, you can at least put a shot to where you need it. Perfectly in that bottom left corner. Now within a goal, 30 seconds, Bruton Parker has to make something happen here. Do you believe in miracles, Pepek?
I've watched enough Rocket League to believe in them to an extent, and this is definitely one I can believe in. It's within striking distance for Bruton Parker here. They've got the players, they've got the LAN experience to come up big with time waning and regulation and what feels like a must-win game, and this is a good start. Milk on the rock with the reset, with Cass setting up Antics, who gets bumped off the shot on 0 seconds. Didn't see who got it, but that is a game-saving bump on Winthrop's defensive side.
Sit with it for a moment, because that is just beautiful defense. I think defense in Rocket League is like linemen in the NFL, where you don't see it often. You don't see how much of an impact it has. Winthrop, so good when they needed to be. Let up 2 very rough chances, obviously, but Percy running it with the main offensive chances. They did a great job in the other end, but demos equal again. This time it's a closer game, and that's what we're talking about. When they're both physical, they're both great, but so many saves that Bruton Parker had to make. They could not get out of their own zone. really had to wait till the end, and with 30 seconds, you can't rely on a lot of shots to come through.
Which is crazy. T-Corral had no shots that game. Was very much a facilitator of play for the Winthrop guys. And honestly, when Garrett G and Percy are let off the leash by T-Corral being a midfield menace, a 50-50 menace, that's when Winthrop are at their best. And that is when it's going to be the most difficult for Bruton Parker to beat them. They gave it a great go. The Barons did there in Game 5. But man, what an absurd bump at the last second to save that equalizer from going in. Antics was scoring that every day of the week. We were going to overtime. But Winthrop are showing class on both ends of the pitch.
It's just sickening. If you're a Bruton Parker fan, that has to feel so poor, and I feel so bad for anybody in that fan section watching. I'm a Chicago sports fan, so I know heartbreak. And, I mean, that's one that you feel in that Game 5. Is there a way where you can come back if you're Bruton Parker into this game? You need to find a way to win this series. This is it. We're in Tokyo, and we're going to have to see. They need to step up here. How bright are the lights for Bruton Parker squad, who technically don't need to win this game to win this tournament, but they would like to have that grand finals advantage.
Even just a game given to Winthrop at the start of a grand finals is pretty monumental to overcome. Although Bruton Parker did do it at the start of this series, winning 2 in a row after dropping Game 1, but still they have more bouncing back to do. Have shown they're capable, but now their backs are fully against the wall. Like you said, lower bracket awaits the loser of this series, so it's not the end of your tournament. You do drop this game for Bruton Parker, but still one you want to win, considering how close an opportunity they've got right now to upset Winthrop, but it does require 2 in a row.
Minute in, we're seeing the same kind of stuff. A lot of just long clears followed by some follow-ups, and Winthrop has had a lot of close chances. Again, still a theme we've seen a lot. Bruton Parker, this defensive masterclass, still showing out, have not slowed down at all. It's just a very good feeling if you are on that defensive end. You know how well you've been playing. You know you can stop Winthrop in a lot of these senses. Just need to find a way to get it out. Cass goes up, is able to bump it a little bit away. T-Corral has not used his boost that efficiently back in that other end. It's a well-timed shot. Percy, just well placed.
You can see the smile on Cass's face right now. I mean, this feels like a near impossible situation to stop. Bruton Parker have clogged the near side. They've got numbers, but Winthrop are such a well-oiled machine with speed and precision that a shot like that is going to beat you, even if you've got numbers on the near side. Almost every single time it's ripped off the car of a Winthrop player, but Bruton Parker have a chance to respond fast. Off kickoff, they win a lot of room. A lot of purchase in the Winthrop half, but still no equalizer falls through, and Percy even almost adds a second to the Winthrop tally.
And you see these player cams in the bottom left on the Bruton Parker side. They have just kind of been all smiles. They know how difficult of a situation this is. Smiles fading a little bit there, but 2-0 for Winthrop there off of another well-timed. Percy's just in the right place, right spot, takes the right shot. Bruton Parker, I mean, that feels impossible. It doesn't feel like something you can beat. You make 3 saves in a row, and you're out of players. There's no more guys. You're not playing fours.
Nightmare start. Winthrop are trying to snowball this. Death ball at the moment of goals being scored. That was potentially a third, but just a little bit too high. Winthrop, though, do keep possession. They keep pressure, and if you're looking at the player cams after that last goal, you saw the smiles on all 3 of them. They know what's going on right now. They know how high a percentage to win this game they've got at the moment, and with that in mind, I think they're feeling pretty good.
Very calm, very professional of a team. They know they're expected to win. They expect themselves to win. Held to a very high standard in every essence of the word in the world. That's actually fair there too, but Corral top down. Oh my goodness. Just artistry there. Poetic. It's a very, very tough goal to beat. T-Corral was, I mean, this is not a play you see from anybody in the world. This is so well timed, well played off the wall. Knows exactly what his car's going to do, knows exactly what they're going to do.
That's something that Percy and Garrett have been doing so often in this series that T really hasn't had to find a moment like that, where it is just him besting the Bruton Parker defense. But him showing that he is very much capable of hitting those sorts of shots and these sorts of moments, I think gives you an example as to why Winthrop are as threatening a side as they are. But right now, down by 3, Bruton Parker going to give the comeback their best go. Not a team that quits on you, but man, it is looking tough for the Barons at the moment, despite their 2 games won in this series.
A lot slower they're playing right now. it certainly feels like they believe maybe that they are just preparing mentally for losers finals now, or excuse me, yes, losers grand finals. The winner of this one, of course, will go on to grands with a 1-game advantage. The loser will go into lower finals, which will result in the winner getting a second chance at the grand final. Well-timed play. I didn't mention it because I didn't think it was possible to score, but a very good bump in the air. Percy muscles past one. It's Milk who he spoils the chance for, gets it past 2 players, and they're up 4-0.
So good at finding that extra little touch to nudge it past where Milk thinks the ball is going to be next. And that's how Winthrop found a lot of scores by way of Percy Fennick in this series. And why not make it one more? He has had an insane best of 7. Did that say 4 goals in this game for Percy here? I mean, he had the hat trick a couple games ago and added another in game 5. Now really showing off his striking ability in game 6.
Milk and Xantix had their full jerseys on to start this game. They've both been unbuttoned, and Calm Turtle or Cass has lost 1 button there, and that tells you everything you need to know. As Winthrop, another face-off goal, just well played. Garrett's there with 100 boost. I don't think there's anybody else has it other than Cass, and he's just not going to be there in time.
As Burton Parker, the wheels have fallen off, unfortunately. Played so well at the very start of this set, winning 2 of the first 3 games, but Winthrop showing class here in this LAN environment. Like I talked about earlier, I always wonder how the really, really good players that are used to the high-quality RLCS caliber LANs will play in an environment like this, where there's the fans are a lot closer to you. The ambient noise is maybe a bit more sporadic than at a LAN event, especially a studio LAN event, and that can jar you if you're not ready for it. But Winthrop have not been shaken whatsoever. We're not shaken by losing 2 in a row to this Baron side, and again, showed class in making sure that they stuck the landing in this series.
No, I spoke to a player, Stirrup, which is he is a Smash player, yes, but what he noted is that at these collegiate events, it helps him at those bigger pro events because he does not have a situation where there are 18 guys behind him screaming at those professional events, and he thinks it's very fun. He's definitely gets attracted by it. He's admitted that he's lost because he was getting distracted by it, where somebody will ask him a question, and it's his natural response to reply. So it's a different thing. It's that stereotype you feel like of a movie where the old pro who's trying to get it like his swagger back is going to these more difficult situations to try and find something there. I can only think of Cars 3 as an example.
We all love a good Cars reference in a Rocket League broadcast, and Winthrop, I mean, I don't think Garrett G's quite at Lightning McQueen level because he never lost his ability. Him, Percy, and Ticarel, they've been through the RLCS ringer, all 3 of them, but man, they still very much have that sort of level in them, and they flexed that these last couple of games. Blowout wins for Winthrop despite good fights from Bruton Parker. 6-0 the final in game 6, and a grand final spot booked for Winthrop.
Yeah, and nearly 7. As that one hits the post, luckily for them, it's definitely a better feeling, you have to say. But a very good job there from that other side of Winthrop to really pick themselves up, down to up 2-1. We mentioned it, Bruton Parker was going to have to keep their foot on the gas. And it not being 3-1 or 3-2 up at Bruton Parker at any point meant to me they were going to lose, because you need to have the momentum on a team like Winthrop, because they do not play from behind with any sort of worry. They are confident and genuinely believe when they're down 3-0, they will score 3 goals. There's no lack of understanding that they are that good and that they have the confidence to win. Bruton Parker, unfortunately, find out why they have that confidence.
It felt like for a second there, Bruton Parker were getting a read on what Winthrop were doing, especially in the midfield. I think that's how they got those 2 games off on them. But we talked about it. We knew Winthrop were going to adjust in the middle of that series, and they did exactly that. Took full command of the midfield line back and never really let it go. Bruton Parker had to fight through that lack of possession throughout the rest of the series, and that's unfortunately too much mud for Bruton Parker to trudge through to best Winthrop. So the best look anyone's given Winthrop all throughout this tournament, but it is still Winthrop with the game advantage in the grand finals. So they'll have a nice little break before they have to play that best of 7 later on.
Yeah, they'll play tomorrow next, as I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, they'll play tomorrow next. They can go home
really
right
nice
now.
break.
They go home right now, go right to bed, maybe get some beautiful dinner here in Atlanta. We're at Dreamhack, obviously. It's the Dreamhack Collegiate Invitational. There's plenty of good restaurants, especially here right by downtown. But for Bruton Parker, it's day's not over next. yet, because next they have to go find their way back into Grands against the Kennesaw State team, where you could argue two of their players, the two best players in the tournament.
Daytona State actually won that series. Kennesaw State
All right,
did not
somebody
win.
did not. Okay,
Daytona, right?
Yeah, Daytona
so
State.
my hearing
coming
failed
out
me.
big.
My hearing failed me.
Two states that aren't actually states. So it all blends together. A big win for DSC down there. Another top 3 out of land for those boys. That, you know, the college is down in Florida, but they're spread all throughout North America, coming together for LAN events and showing out, which is what they're going to try to do against Bruton Parker, which is the next series coming up on this stream here at the Dreamhack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational, which we'll see you for in a bit.
Impossible. We love that word. It's a challenge to explore the unknown, to sculpt the skylines, to map the human mind, and propel humanity to the edges of Earth. At Georgia Tech, we are determined to forge a better tomorrow, because the world is counting on us. Impossible. It's not just a challenge, it's a calling.
And then we were down to 3. Losers final at the Dreamhack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational is the last game of our Rocket League stream. It seems that we just get banger after banger. Winthrop goes 2 extra games, I think, than they would have liked. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they played like how they should. I believe last game was, what, a 6-0? 6-1 along those lines? So Winthrop does what Winthrop does best. My name is DJ TJ. Next to me, Mr. Bebic once again.
Yeah, Winthrop made up for it at the end of that series, but Burton Parker showed that Winthrop have weaknesses to potentially exploit. They won 2 of the first 3 games, but that wasn't enough to send themselves into the grand finals. Needed 4, and they didn't get that. So now they are stuck in a battle with Daytona State in the lower bracket finals. And TJ, this Burton Parker-Daytona State rivalry on land is becoming one of the best ones we've got in the Southeast.
Not to mention surviving Kennesaw as well, a team that looked renewed halfway through the day, and then Daytona State did what WCTC couldn't, and that was play their system to a T. They survive, and now here we are in this best of 7 rivalry match, and it seems like every time these teams get a best of 5, they get a best of 7 on land, online. I do mean. It always seems to find its way to go the distance, or at least we get multiple overtimes. I mean, SEL in terms of playoffs, SEL in terms of LAN. We saw some of the best series of the year.
And last 2 LAN matches between these two. You got Daytona State at SEL taking the victory in the lower bracket elimination match. Then Burton Parker gets some revenge here. And now what better way to settle the tie than with a full best of 7 with the grand finals on the line. A date with Winthrop for the winner of this series. But with this being the last set of the day, TJ, let's make it a good one. You know the players are. It is Burton Parker versus Daytona State. Here we go.
One thing I expect out of this series is volume. I expect energy, and I am so thankful that the T-Lab crew have supported us with the cameras and the lighting and these cams that we can really get these player observations, and also their wide lens as well, so we get to see some of the people behind them. And Daytona State and Burton Parker travel deep.
Yeah, they do. They've got support structure behind them, so I don't think it's any big surprise that they've made it this far in a LAN tournament that is very difficult to advance through. I think this field legitimately saw a tournament that was anybody's game. Yes, Winthrop are definitely favorites, but I mean, outside of that, it's probably dead even across the board. With all the experience on land that everyone has coming to the Collegiate Invitational. I mean, look at Gio starting us off. Hitting shots like that in game 1 shows you the sort of experience he brings to the table.
Who else would score the first goal in losers final? Who else would score the first goal in general? Gio is the most dependable scorer, the most experienced striker, even though you would never have guessed it. Daytona State, a new force in the scene, and Gio has led the way and then some.
Big time tone-setting score to start us off in game 1, but Burton Parker nearly find an answer immediately back as they have looked good all throughout today, showing what they're capable of in a LAN environment. What got them to the grand finals a year and a half ago in this very tournament. I'm sure they would love a trip back and over a rival as well. It makes for a great story for the Barons, but they do have to make good on their promises.
Already a minute 20 in, no surprise, no shocker here to see that Burton Parker still looking for their opportunity. They're a team that has all of a sudden gone from being one of the most fast and furious to being so slow, so methodical, so thought out. And I think that's to say what Cass brings to this team and how he's kind of changed the culture. Also bringing Antics back over Manny changes this team overnight. And without further ado, Antics, as I say his name, finds his way towards net, but nothing more after 2 Daytona State players are able to swoop in and will find a 50 to another.
I think in both of the Burton Parker series that we've watched on broadcast today, against Winthrop, it was Antics really having a great performance. In the games that they won, he was really the guy that was making the perfect reads in the midfield, taking the ball away from Tikara, who wanted to facilitate his team's attack. It was Antics nullifying that and setting Burton Parker up for success. And then earlier today, Burton Parker had Cass really popping off, controlling the midfield against WCTC. He was instrumental in that win. And all the while, Milk hasn't been the biggest superstar at times, but he's been set up by his teammates just to do what's necessary, and that's what you want from Milk. You want him to be a goal-scoring force, set up to be that first-man attack.
they've always been a group of role players as well. I mean, Daytona State has found a way into, and I'm going to make a role player mention again, they found their way to find their own roles. I think they're a little more defined than the Bruton Parker system, which has become a lot more calm. And as I mentioned that's Cass on Com Turtle. That's his Epic Games account finding his way into the play here. And they're going to have a lot of room together using the ceiling to their advantage. But overall, again, these teams are so even out in terms of not in terms of them going against one another. I'm talking about their dynamic within the team. You have 3 players who are all so close together. For Daytona State, you're looking at players who can be rank A, can be rank B+. Bruton Parker, unironically, all 3 players have been rank A within the last, I believe, calendar year, or maybe even before that, if you want to talk about Antics and his history in the scene. But a minute 30 in, they're still searching for answers.
At the very least, they've got some defensively. Good reads and slowing down Daytona State's roll, which really got going at the start of this game. Gio coming out and hitting a banger, but since then, Bruton Parker have stabilized this DSC team and now could find an equalizer. Gio's got no boost and is outdone on the goal line, leading to an easy tap in for Cass.
Daytona State caught between a rock and a hard place, and that right there is a bad first-man challenge, and then just a good play from Antics. How rare is it to try and find a play when the ball is glued to the backboard where you can actually kick it out at a vertical angle, or at a diagonal angle, excuse me, and find a teammate midfield? That type of mechanical prowess, that's what Bruton Parker's strongest aspect is, because when Daytona State, when you talk about what they've done mechanically, Gio's been absurd, Gio's been incredible, but in terms of a whole team mechanical dynamic, Bruton Parker, I think, have the upper hand there, and they can rely on it in this series.
Antics cutting back quick, had a chance on that ball, but nope, took it from him. Going to cut back and set more up as Bruton Parker have their first goal of this lower bracket finals, but would like some more here in the final minute of regulation. Though Daytona State on the rock at the moment. All they can do is tap the ball off the corner wall and give Bruton Parker a chance to clear and set up Cass for success. High-flying Dutchman was stopped right there, just a little bit off with his read.
In a group stage match, it's a missed opportunity. In a loser's final, every single missed shot, every missed chance starts to hurt just a little bit more. Almost 30 to go now, and we haven't seen a Daytona State possession in what feels like years.
Antics off the ground. Got to the 50-50 on the near side, but Daytona State held firm in defense. Though the Barons are slowly inching towards a late goal that could decide how this series starts off. Otherwise, I think overtime is starting to loom. DSC have lost a lot of their offensive juice as the Barons are getting a read on their opponent at the moment, though not just double committed. And Antics dives in as well as the last man. This is a big chance for Daytona State, but Cass does well on low boost.
No boost for almost anybody in the lobby right now, as Smooth does have a teammate middle looking for Gio. Again, that superb striker, will not be able to find a shot, and it is overtime to kick off elimination losers final.
Oh, Salas taps that ball up the sidewall, but that's a ball served up on a silver platter for the Milkman. He plays it high for Cass, who dives in, but is stopped by Gio. Antics now with a little bit of room, takes a pot shot. Smooth was ready for it. Now off the sidewalls, a little bit of room to work with, but Antics rotates quickly back, trying to make up for his missed opportunity by slowing down the DSC counterattack, which they do, and the Barons now start their own, or at least started their own. It dies quickly.
30 seconds in, nothing wrong with playing a boring game of Rocket League. You'll take your 50s, you'll take your flicks. That's what Daytona State was telling us right before we started. They said, be ready for a very boring series. They want to play safe. They don't want to get too aggressive, as we've seen from teams like a WCTC or even a Kennesaw with Kernovi leading the way not that long ago today. But someone's got to make a move. Someone's got to make a risk. Someone's got to make a play! Top left, almost a minute in. Daytona State strike first and often.
Dalton isn't usually the guy hitting shots like this in moments like this, but everyone's got to contribute on land, and Salas hits a banger double to take game one for Daytona State. Okay, that's how we're playing in this one.
He said, and I quote, be ready for a boring series, Salas, my friend. As much as I like to make a joke about how he's not the mechanical mastermind, how he's not the main stat leader on this team, he can step up when he needs to, and that's what's so special about a program as young as Daytona State. You've signed potentially one of the greatest pairings of 3 to ever grace us this entire school year with some of their accomplishments. They only get better as we go. We're here in May. They're in postseason form, and Salas is leading the way with an overtime winner there.
Yeah, he jokingly promised only low 50-50 is all he's going to do to contribute to this series. And that game winner is far from a low 50-50. It's high flying. It's a bounce off the backboard. It's in the face of Bruton Parker's entire defense. Massive, massive goal from Sullis to bookend that game one with a pair of double taps. That's how Gio started it off.
I think the bigger issue as well, if you're a Bruton Parker fan, is that game was a Bruton Parker win.
Yeah.
Absolutely should have been. Now, granted, did you start slow? Yes, but both these teams tend to start slow. It was Gio, who plays at his own pace at this rate, who opened up the scoring. So for Bruton Parker, that one, obviously, it's the best 7. Doesn't sting as hard, but that one hurts. You had that overtime, and all it took was one major counter, one follow-up, and Sullis doing what Sullis does best, which I guess is score now.
That's what I'm talking about. Daytona State flexing their triple threat. I don't know if you noticed, TJ, but the Daytona State media team has both Sullis and Gio mic'd up right now. They've been making a lot of content from this trip to Dreamhack Atlanta, and they just got a lot of good comms from that mic'd up moment. They were elated to see Sullis score that double tap. The captain came up big for both the game and the content.
That explains why they're traveling so deep. We normally only get to see Coach Seb and the roster travel together, which is also worth mentioning while we're talking about it, that Daytona State, a roster of 3 players across 3 different corners of North America. I mean, you have a Canadian, you have a Californian, and then an actual Floridian on this team. It is absurd, the culmination of talent, and especially for the media team, we're very happy that they're here in Atlanta. It's the first LAN event that I'm aware of that they've had their team, and they get a freebie to kick it off here. Let's see the comms on that.
Oh, I'm looking at the cams actually, because Bruton Parker have been smiling after occasional mistakes. They know they could have maybe done a little bit more, but are shaking it off. But right there, Bruton Parker not smiling after Cass completely whiffs on the goal line and donates an opener to DSC.
This one could be another one. Gio's got a chance. It's wide open. Gio started screaming first. He knew it was guaranteed, and it has been anything but for Bruton Parker.
Well, that's a low 50-50 for you. Sullis using the challenge game to his advantage, setting up Gio for a big-time strike to keep things going for Daytona State. They've now got the last 3 straight goals as Bruton Parker maybe a bit shell-shocked.
I think that and then some. That's how loud, I know, especially Seb. Got to give him another shout out because it's normally Sullis who's able to kind of lead the way vocally, as both in comms as the team captain from what I understand in their dynamic, but also Seb doing a great job of just being here to support. Are they going to get one more here? Is Seb going to scream again? No, we will hold off for now. A minute 30 in almost, but Daytona State a strong 2-0 lead.
Cool, calm, collected Cass right there, preventing game 2 from really getting out of hand as Daytona State have started off strong, but that can always change. Cass is trying to materially change that as he set up antics for a nice shot, but Daytona State did stay at home and they got in the way.
Room for Antics, wants to go to Milk, and back to Antics. Antics wants to get back to Milk again. Those Bruton Parker passing plays have definitely been lacking today and yesterday. It's something they would love to get back to. It's a staple of the Bruton Parker system. Even when they were playing like a bunch of madmen or a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, they would always find each other in the process. What's so special about this program and their consistency over time and the people they sign. But again, these moments right here, the biggest possible moments at the biggest possible stages. Bruton Parker has been here before. They had a grand final against Kennesaw 2 Dreamhack Collegiate Invitationals ago, and they're just begging to try and reach it again.
Man, but what happened here? Antics gets caught going for boost. Thought he had a second longer to collect the 100 in the corner, but not 50-50, sent right at his backboard, and Sullis cleans up as a result of it. Quick reaction from Daytona State to now find 3 goals to their name in game 2. This is really getting out of hand very quickly.
However, there's a lot of Rocket League left and a lot that could go wrong. It is a very stressful match. I think Bruton Parker are feeling that, and then some. Big demos there, a 4th goal potentially. Sullis can't get there yet, so Smooth, but they keep that one in the meantime. Is going to get a free shot, and Daytona State are rolling.
They are expending a lot of energy, at least outside of the game, but inside it looks easy. Smooth has the ball again, just kind of given to him. Antics can't make the read, and with a little chip shot, Smooth beats Cass on the back line as well. This is rough for Bruton Parker. Daytona State can't do anything wrong.
You hate losing to a team in this nature. You hate losing to a loud team in this nature about 10 times more. And it is insanely hard for a team with the amount of experience and composure that Bruton Parker normally shows. I mean, their coaches here, the JV team is here. Corrupt actually coaches both teams. Kojo is also with them. Drussel's also here. So Bruton Parker have every living support network possible. They're going to need it right now, but they're still finding good looks.
That is a way back into this game. Bruton Parker just setting up shots to pick apart the Daytona State defense like they would normally, because they know Daytona State only have a 4-goal lead, and with 2 minutes left, Bruton Parker can cut into that, but not a fan is taking the ball away from Milk. That shows a bit of capitulation of the mental. Feels like Bruton Parker have already written this game off, despite the possibility of a comeback.
I'll add this in as well. Gio's got almost 600 points right now. We still got a minute 30 left to go. That is how confident they've looked. Passing play for Daytona State will be met. Solis no boost. Gio's got to get up there, and lo and behold, who's up there to make the big play? It is Gio. Not able to make the follow, though, as Smooth's in a pretty awkward spot, but is able to at least keep it moving in the right direction. Great 50 from Cass. How about another challenge from Cass? How about a pass as well? Not able to find that one, so Milk, between, again, no players off his own team, has to give that one away. And is that going to be another one? Smooth off the ceiling and down, almost carrying it and kind of flicking it the opposite direction with his wheels to push that one forward.
Oh man, perfect flip. Timed it to perfection to get underneath the ball, to get that little bit of extra pop past the last man of Bruton Parker. And look at the game. Smooth's tweaking. He's so excited that Daytona State's playing so well. I don't know what that was.
There must be a reason why he's not mic'd up. That's to say the least. But 5-0, 60 seconds to go now. Is Solis going to find lucky number 6 down and on? It actually was bottom left, but Milk's able to keep that one away and is at least somewhat possessed. But let's talk about the Bruton Parker era so far. Right there, Gio gets a turn, has enough boost. The conservation looks wonderful, and then all of a sudden there's nobody from Bruton Parker there to actually make something happen. Also, the CS stage definitely making a little bit of noise on the side. We're hearing some rumbles finally after the soundproofing today. Seems to really be taking its toll, but I think we're going to put some sound of our own at this rate with the way Daytona State's going.
I mean, we need a closer game if that's going to be the case. Daytona State are trying to keep the noise levels up, but they're all on their own, which is, they're doing. They're the ones that have shut Bruton Parker up. But a couple of chances actually, to get loud again, fall by the wayside for the Barons, and they still are forced to look at that goose egg at the top of the scoreboard here at the end of game 2. This has been a nightmare for Bruton Parker.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know what more you can add for them right now. I mean, obviously, Coach Corrupt, Big Trussell, Big Kojo, they're going to have a lot to add. One more for good measure, and Daytona State will find it. So on that note, I think it's time to hypothesize, Bepic. There is a lot you can do better if you're Bruton Parker, but where do you even want to start?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the double commits in offense where they're just no longer on the same page after all day. We've watched plenty of Bruton Parker on stream looking like a cohesive unit in offense. The passing games, the well-timed demos, they have done everything you could ask for from an offense well at some point today. But that game, too, it looked like a different team. They looked like a Dreamhack Open team where they just found two other random people walking around the convention to join the tournament. That was not cohesive at all, and Daytona State exploited every gap.
Worth mentioning as well that normally I don't like to talk about score. I don't like to talk about points, but it's a good indicator of possession. It's a good indicator of how involved in the game plan you are. Antics at 148, one of the lowest we've seen on stream. Meanwhile, Daytona State, again, they are efficient. They are balanced. They like to use each other. So we get only 2 assists on the scoreboard, but every player gets 2 goals and a lot of solo chances made, especially from Smooth. And if he gets hot alongside Gio and Solis is clutching overtimes, and they're unstoppable.
Yeah, the lack of assists isn't even really necessarily a bad thing for Daytona State in this game, considering how many goals were just straight up individuals punishing open nets and mistakes from Bruton Parker's defense. The going after 100 boost in the corner when the play's coming right at you and you're the third man, you can't afford that against Daytona State. And so Bruton Parker, the decision making was bad, the cohesion was bad, but luckily they've got 3 very experienced veterans on their roster that are going to put Forbidden Temple right behind them. They don't need to think about it anymore. All they have in front of them is a series in which they're not even up against match point quite yet. This is a best of 7. Daytona State's only got 2. This is still doable for BPCU. They just have to reset.
Bruton Parker have also brought in a few ringers by the name of Kyler and Dante, who are some of the loudest players in the world. They actually were up on their feet now for this game. I think they had to take a little break. So Bruton Parker gonna have some momentum, but not before Gio and Solis miss across the net. One more look will be found as well. Daytona State have got to keep their momentum going, but that one for certain would have kicked this game 3 off right. But Bruton Parker, a second life.
Well, that'll give you a jolt of adrenaline if you're Bruton Parker. This close to giving up yet another goal to Daytona State. That would have been the 9th in a row for DSC. Had a clean sheet in game 2, scored the last 2 of game 1. And if they keep on rolling here, I do start to fear for the Barons, because this first minute has been all Daytona State playing offense, trying to find first blood, though they don't get through that Baron back line.
Well, what will Bruton Parker do with that second life? They're already struggling to keep possession moving in the right directions. Move looking for a double. It's going to end up going the wrong way. Antics wants it to go corner, fakes out one, has a flip to use the wall, but it's a little too far away. That one has Milk middle, but it's met by Solis. Instead of a 50, it's a huge play downfield. Antics is all by his lonesome. Has to be careful of the demo. Isn't able to do much because of that. Cass also gets forced off the ball. Solis wants to go middle, wants to go a little slow. Nothing wrong with a 50-50 here. Gio trying to find a teammate, has Smooth there! They are unstoppable and formidable as ever.
Well, even with a bit of a defensive reset, Bruton Parker still get bested by Gio locating Smooth in the infield, and the passing game of this Daytona State squad is always at the forefront of what they do well. They are always so connected. I was joking with Solis earlier. I've never seen a team where consistently the passes are always way better than the shots that follow. But right there, the shot was perfect, and let's make it 2. Why not?
What do you do when Gio and Smooth are doing this? This is what we just talked about before this game. They are so scary when they work together, and they are, I won't even say peaking because we've seen crazier things happen, but they're playing incredibly well right now. Again, I mean it. They are unstoppable.
Well, these are the only 2 teams in the entire event that are taking games off of Winthrop, so an apt matchup in the lower bracket final. Both, I'm sure, thinking they've got a chance in the grand finals tomorrow, but maybe Bruton Parker thinking a bit too much about that grand finals tomorrow. They got to really focus on this series in front of them, as Daytona State have stuck a tricky situation in front of these Barons. Down 2 in the series, down 2 in game 3. Something's got to change.
What is it going to be for Bruton Parker? I think there's a lot of ways you can go. We didn't get to talk about it much before this game, but a lot of it is the cohesion, like you mentioned earlier, but also where is any challenge? The midfield has been absurdly open. The boost starving, the boost management has not been won by Bruton Parker, I think, yet at all. But after Daytona State plays ping pong with each other with their own cars, you will take an open lane and Milk will slot it.
That's what Cass does nicely. He can command the midfield and set up Milk, and that is what Bruton Parker looked like when they were at their best in this tournament, with Antics and Cass being the setup men for a Milk final touch. Let's give him a shot on it. Here's Cass with the final touch, but Solis denies an equalizer, though Bruton Parker seemed to be alive and well, which is a good thing. I was getting worried about their pulse.
Halfway through this game, that one could have been the tying goal, but it will just barely fall away. Huge attempt from Antics to get back, and actually is we're going to work his way through 2. So Cass, a wide open chance, but also not enough boost to get a full play going. Antics dives in, 3v1. Is there a wonder play from Gio looking down? Will not find another highlight reel. Finds a follow-up, however, but it's perfect for Milk. He's got room. It's going to be hard to shoot. Has the double, though. Will get it middle. Is there anyone there to answer the call? There's 2 Daytona State players. 2 minutes to go, and Bruton Parker have a chance and a passing play.
Oh no, it's just shy though of falling in off a couple of posts right there. Bruton Parker set themselves up with a really nice look, but unfortunately for Cass, he just couldn't force the ball in through the near side. But here's another pass out. Antics is going backboard. Who's up for the read? Antics tried to hang in the air for it, just didn't have the boost to find a double. But Milk, all right, he'll do it himself. He doesn't play it off the backboard, off the corner. He plays it off a defender.
Ellis was trying to, I believe, maybe find the bump here on Milk. Let's see. Yes, exactly that. Was trying to find a bump on Milk. It was just trying to make sure Milk didn't get a clean 50, but it ends up being an early flick. It catches him off guard. Daytona State with a missed open net here, with an awkward play here and there, with an own goal. Now they've kind of let Bruton Parker breathe their own fresh life back into their game. You cannot let a team like this get these chances.
I think this is more what I was expecting from this series. I mean, Brute and Parker have brute forced their way back into this series. It's not like Daytona State are playing any worse than they were previously, but VPCU are starting to piece together some better looks for themselves, more cohesive passes, better comms to where the next guy is going to be. And now DSC have to react on the fly with a minute left. Their 2-goal lead is dissipated, and suddenly that, what was it, a 9 straight run for DSC has really dissipated and can be long forgotten about if they end up losing this game.
Well, time will tell. 3-0 is a whole lot different than 2-1 to end our Rocket League stream off, and only time will tell where we're going from here. Cass has room, trying to find a pinch around one, has antics there, just barely off the wheels of a Brute and Parker, off the Daytona State player, excuse me. Brute and Parker is still very much involved in the play here. It'll be an attempted fake for Solus to try and keep it even 50, won't need it. Smooth will go ahead and throw that one down, but his teammate's not there to answer the call. Geo already up, trying to play around antics, and Milk will do that, I thought, but will bump a teammate in the process. Lane for antics, redirect for Milk, follow up for antics, it's gonna be on, but Geo off the ceiling, a squishy save to keep it tied.
Came out of nowhere. Geo comes up big, but still, Brute and Parker are firing on all cylinders. This is a free ball up in the sky, but no one goes for VPCU. Antics at ground level wants to take this to the corner. He misses the boost, so Geo's got access to the ball. Cass with a chance to keep the play alive on 0 seconds. Sees Smooth catch, play the ball backwards, but that just gets us to overtime.
Very few are willing to hit the ball back towards their net in any direction, in any fashion, but that's how much Daytona State trusts one another. It's feeling eerily similar to game number 1. Brute and Parker had so much possession, so much attacking prowess that came out of nowhere in this context. But in game 1, they were dominating, but they get one chance, and who better? How about one overtime winner? I raise you 2!
Lightning struck twice. Solus again goes back forward, this time beating 2 defenders to beat Brute and Parker in game 3, and they're having a grand old time. Daytona State steal game 3 back.
2 overtime games, game 1 and 3, and a 6-0 Daytona State to sandwich them in between. That right there is one of the weirdest scorelines I think we have ever casted, let alone on LAN, but Daytona State will take their lead, they'll take their advantage at any means possible. And again, of all the players on this roster to call game twice, Solus could send Brute and Parker home.
Been taking some notes from Geo's ability to consistently read shots off the backboard, but man, Solus doing it when it matters the most. These aren't just, you know, mid-game goals to maybe tie a game up or take a 1-goal lead. These are overtime winners in a lower bracket final at a big-time LAN, the last LAN of this entire school year. I mean, I feel like everything else is done at this point. We got summer vacations on the mind if you're literally anybody else other than Winthrop, Brute and Parker, and Daytona State.
You're going to Cabo. Brute and Parker's 1 game away from joining everybody else there. But Daytona State wants to dance for one more day. They want to hang around. They want to see the COD Major. They want to see IEM. They want to see us cast a grand final tomorrow. They're 1 game away from doing that. And what would be, just like at SCL Land, another historic run for this very new program. They have really come out of their shell in the last 2 months.
It just keeps getting better for Daytona State. I mean, you think back to the first Tri-City Slam, the LAN previously in this semester at ETSU's campus, where they did go out, I think it was top 12, but they lost in game 5 to the eventual tournament winners in that first round of playoffs, which is not a bad exit, but still an exit sooner than they'd like. This is a team that has now recovered from that, gotten top 3 at the SCLN, and now they're 1 game away from a top 2 here at Dreamhack Atlanta. It just gets better and better. Daytona State learn every single time. They're able to unite despite them being spread all across North America for LAN performances. They try to make the most of playing together.
I will say this, if this is how this series ends, I cannot wait to see the comms from this one, because all I see are laughs, all I see are smiles, and Brute and Parker, I haven't seen even a grin in the last few games. This is ultra serious. Again, it is Dreamhack. It is one of the most prestigious events to compete at, regardless of college or not. Brute and Parker very aware of that. They've dealt with heartbreak before. Again, think about Dreamhack Atlanta 2024, one of the most heartbreaking grand finals for a team, I would argue, maybe ever in Collegiate Rocket League. But they don't want to go out in a similar style. They want to try and bring it back. They got to do 4 games in a row to even get close to that.
It would have to be a return trip to Champions Field. Game 7 necessary for Bruton Parker to get back in this one. But I will say they are piecing it together well. The passing game has been upgraded out of the Barons, looking for each other a lot more. And Daytona State still not jumping the gun on those passing lanes. So Bruton Parker allowed to play that way for just a little bit longer. But okay, a gift from DSC here. Bruton Parker force that Daytona State backline to succumb to some awkward moments.
The idea was right. The ball falls right to Gio. He needs a cut and go corner, but Smooth started backing up, thought he was going to play it, and that somehow was the perfect chemistry and bump for Bruton Parker to make things happen. But also, we haven't talked a lot about what Bruton Parker can do mentally to get back into this game. This is potentially one of the only Bruton Parker series I've gotten to be in range of where I don't hear a train horn level of human screeches behind them. And it's because there's a lot of heartbreak on the line here for these teams and all the work that not only the main team and the JV team have put in together to make this happen. Now, still one game away from elimination and missing the grand finals. Sullis gonna try and tie up with Daytona State right here, right now. Gio and Milk will try and combine. It'll be Smooth who's waiting for whatever comes out of that. Not a lot of boosts to go to work. No teammate to follow. Here comes Bruton Parker. Cass is there, but isn't able to follow much more. The pressure is still very much hot and ready though.
It really feels like right now watching antics and his car language around the pitch, like he's getting ready to pop. He is so close to a big difference maker play, but it keeps getting stopped, the last hurdle by Daytona State. And he is a guy that can be an X factor for this team. And I'm just waiting for that moment for Antics to step up. But right now it's Cass up ahead alongside Milk, giving Antics a chance to shoot. He gets around on it, but isn't able to put a shot on target. Daytona State take that stop, clear immediately, and now have some more footing in the blue end.
Milk trying to keep this ball safe. Antics doing the same. You got to be careful of all these bumps. That could have been a lane. It could still be a lane, but all three members of Daytona State go unpunished, being overcommitted, and they have enough boost to where it will not matter. So Smooth and Sullis both have that left side under control. Gio's just waiting for a 50 down. Antics is there. Very awkward. Clear. Milk's there to try and cover. Will have a potential flick once the low 50. That's what we've been talking about, waiting to see. Very consistent gameplay from Bruton Parker. Antics, a flick middle, double commit for Daytona State. Bruton Parker playing the game the right way, but one goal away is not safe at all.
Oh, great interception by Gio right there. Saw that Milk was looking for Cass down the field. Now it sets up DSC for a chance to tie things up off the back wall. It's a miss, and Sullis was not ready for that. He's now caught in an awkward spot, has the third man, but does well enough to at least generate a new shot for DSC by way of Gio from the midfield line. Now on the ball again, Smooth going off the ceiling, trying to gain more and more space for his attack. And now Smooth in the corner, looks to center again. Both Gio and Sullis were in the area, but so was the Bruton Parker defender, and that's a stop for the Barons.
Milk a tap back to the corner of Daytona State. Gio tried to get it, but unfortunately for him is not able to get there. But Smooth, as quick as ever, has a wide open lane. There's one more player to beat, tries to get the bump, but Cass is there and is safe on his way to that ball. Milk will try and find him downfield after faking Sullis, but a bump as well will make things awkward. Gio goes bottom right, but Antics again, calm, cool, and collected, making his way back onto the A team this year. It's for those reasons right there. However, Daytona State off the ceiling, looking for one more, but Milk is there to keep it away. Daytona State, they want it now.
Antics has been stoic on the goal line. It's another usherance of the ball out of the safety of the side wall in the corner, but he can't follow up with enough of a touch to find a clear, though now he and Cass together do break out of the zone and score a second. All right, Bruton Parker might have bought themselves some more life in this series, but there are 23 seconds left to close.
Down one, 20 seconds left. Gio's got to jump for that one. Unfortunately, doesn't get the read for him. But for Bruton Parker, this is the breath of fresh air that you've been waiting on. You play a very controlled game. Get your 2v1. You force players into awkward spots where, yes, they double commit, own goal or not. Who cares? It's an opportunity for something more. And Bruton Parker should put this game on cruise control unless we see something wild from a Daytona State player. It would have to happen right now. Gio can't follow that one. Sullis' boost is a little too low, but is able to at least get it over one. It looks like unless Gio scores right now, which he will not, Bruton Parker stays alive and wins game 4.
All right, Bruton Parker, they're still on life support, but they're breathing. So there is a chance for the reverse sweep. That's a good blueprint for them to follow going forward. A great passing game, much composure on their goal line, despite DSC banging on the Bruton Parker door time and time again, but not finding any scores, which for this Daytona State roster in this lower bracket final is a rarity.
Much better possession battle for Daytona State. For Bruton Parker, excuse me. It's also worth mentioning that whenever Antics and Cass are beating every player in the midfield, when they're winning their 1v1s, when they're creating 2v1s in the midfield as well, Bruton Parker are setting themselves up for success even if they can't mechanically match that. But now, Antics and Cass again found ways to match that. Milk did a wonderful job of stalling in the corners, of providing boost opportunities for his teammates to try and conserve, collect, and actually use it for something more. And 2 goals isn't exactly a 6-0 margin, but a win is a win, and you need 3 more.
I got to point out, Antics had 6 saves that game, and that contributed to 9 total for Bruton Parker on 10 Daytona State shots. That was a lot of composure on the goal line from BPCU. Despite only putting 4 shots on the board, their defense is what gets them that game win to at least take the first step on a reverse sweep journey that's going to take a while.
And again, in terms of where do you start in terms of adjustments, right? A lot of it came from the pacing. Bruton Parker don't want to make all these random midfield plays. They did get a little dastardly with some of those drop-down passes that second man or first man from Daytona State was all over. But outside of that, you want your 50s. You want to play smart. You want to play safe. Those are the mechanics I was talking about in the very beginning that Bruton Parker had the advantage on and that they can rely on. But again, Daytona State gets 3 more chances to call a game right here, right now. But Solis can't get there. How in the world is that in?
He got a reset on the opponent. Cass lands on Solis there. Gets bumped by Antics. Okay, he didn't use the reset. He did get grounded, but Antics bumps him into the corner where he can then use his newly gained flip to score that. That's crazy.
Let that one breathe for just a second. I am shocked. And that's a nice way of putting it as to how in the world that's how the scoring starts. They're going to look for one here. And Daytona State says, screw your clip. We'll tie it up.
Yeah, it's not as pretty as that last goal, but it works just the same. Gio with a hard shot from the angle he had on the ball. That's kind of crazy. All right, clean striking clip right there. Not flashy, but it's clean.
Unreal Engine 3 at its finest right there. Gio coming from the back left side of that ball finds a way to rip it bottom right. That type of technical ability is why you love him. It's why you sign him. It's why you sign Cass as well, who's going to try and use his ability off the bar there. Antics, a veteran, has a flip. We've seen that ceiling shot a few times before. Milk's got a chance, faking one, trying to bump another. No wants to go over. Cass has to tap it down and in. It's going to be a double attempt for Milk. Miscommunication from 4 players, 2 from each team, and nothing left to follow.
I don't mind that play from Bruton Parker. They were throwing a lot of different looks at Daytona State, but were just outdone by DSC on their back line. Gio missing a quick reaction moment and smooth a shot off the crossbar. Opportunities falling away for Daytona State, and this is a team that at times this season have struggled to close series out. So they need to be cautious now because you lose 2 in a row to Bruton Parker. You really have to collect yourselves and not let anything slip away.
Also for the Daytona State side, Solis is getting caught out in a lot of very awkward saving grounds. I mean, has to cover the entire net with a player shooting in his box almost. I mean, that right there cannot happen for Daytona State. Passing play from Bruton Parker just barely finds its way off. Antics has plenty of room, plenty of time, has Gio and Smooth jumping at him. Daytona State have got to calm down now. I think that adrenaline's starting to rush a little too hard.
And that sometimes can be the downside of the pop-offs. I mean, when you're putting up 6 goals in a game and popping off after every single one, that can be draining. That is another part of your LAN game. You have to manage the energy throughout a series, and Daytona State might be learning that the hard way right now. Bruton Parker have themselves in a good position, but still do have to remain calm on the goal line as Gio takes them out, but the post saves Solis' shot.
Somehow that one doesn't find its way in, but Bruton Parker will take it. You had multiple players trying to find any sliver of boost that you can. You had a player getting destroyed by a front man for Daytona State. They are still setting up shop, but you'll take it for Bruton Parker, absolutely. Passing play, middle though. Solis goes bottom right, and it doesn't have to be slotted, but that's because, again, it's a 2v1. Daytona State set it up and knock it down.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Center balls, Gio and Celis linking up. We've seen so many goals from that sort of setup. Off the sidewall, just diming your boy up, realizing an opening on the back line of your opponent and taking full advantage. The Daytona State passing game continues to be elite, but again, Bruton Parker have an answer. All right, this one's a quick one.
Cass will drag his team across the line if he needs to, but Milk, another hero type of play that you'll never hear about, an unsung hero play with a 50 middle, and Cass absolutely rips it.
Half a game of Rocket League has been played so far. It feels like we've been in Game 5 for ages now. The amount of goal scoring we've seen, clips that have been put up by these two teams, but still a lot of time for adjustments on either side to pull away with an all-important 5th game. Every game is important when a team is on match point. For Britton Parker is to stave off elimination. For Daytona State is to close out before things get too hairy. But right now they are still struggling through a barren side that is gaining steam and a lead.
Again, Britton Parker block shots, and even though they're open, they keep on finding the side. It's impossible to save almost. And Cass, that's 3 for 4 now on the game. He is, again, dragging his team by any means.
Ghost touch as well. That could have easily been Milk's goal. I don't envy the Daytona State players on the goal line trying to read that. But either way, Britton Parker, you're right, have flexed their striking ability. For as good a passing team as Daytona State are and have been in this series, Britton Parker are showing that they can shoot just as hard. But here, missing out on a chance. And now it's DSC breaking away with a chance for Solis off the backboard. But Milk collects and quickly returns to sender.
You love having the mechanical players for the offense, but you love them for the quick reaction time on defense as well. And a player comes off a bump attempt, and it's just there for the redirect. What in the world, Antics?
Yeah, Antics just somehow gets back to this ball, backflipping and timing it perfectly in the face of Solis. That's mental, because if he's too early on the backflip, he probably just pushes it back to the corner. If he's too late, he misses and Solis finds the save. Instead, he times it perfectly and puts it in near side.
Daytona State got to be feeling at least a little nervous, maybe a little bit of sweat now, because you're not only letting Britton Parker get some momentum, they're winning these games what could be comfortably if they don't find their way back into this one. Milk off the backboard, Solis no boost, and now all of a sudden the whole script has flipped. Britton Parker have all the boosts, all the chances, and all the opportunity, and Daytona State are just struggling to clear it out.
Dio, no boosts, and his fake doesn't cause any sort of extra bite from Milk. He goes after the ball, gets a touch on it, and that's all Britton Parker really have to do realistically on defense from here on out. A minute left. Just got to protect this 2-goal lead with solid rotation, solid 50-50s, and nothing for Gio in the air.
One more middle. Solis will try to find room there. Daytona State has to get a little bit desperate now, but is that one going to potentially be the dagger that it could be? And it seems such.
Yeah, 40 seconds, 3 goals for a Daytona State team that are kind of reeling right now. I'm not seeing it. Carson earlier asked if I believed in miracles, and this one, I'm not believing in.
Well, I will say, a miracle of a reverse sweep in a best of 7.
I'm starting to believe.
That's a conversation that I think is getting a little scary now for everybody. If you're a Britton Parker fan and or a Daytona State fan, we're just here to watch Collegiate Rocket League, and wait a dang second now. We're not done yet.
All right, you need one more to convince me. This is nice, but it's Britton Parker be getting caught up in the whole 3-goal lead attitude of letting loose just a little bit more than you were previously. Pulled them away from the flow state that they had to tap into to make this comeback happen. As it looks like it'll be a 3-2 series lead, and with Cass collecting this off kickoff, finding a bump as well, yeah, I think they're in a good spot to close.
Gio gives that ball away as well, so I would agree. I would ditto that. 20 seconds left, not able to find a dunk either. Milk's going to be able to get a free 50-50. It'll go way away from a Daytona State player. However, Gio's in range. He could have a chance here. Looking for the double. Gio meets Cass. 2 superstars clash for that one, and Cass, a statement save. How many times do you get to say that in a sentence? And Britton Parker rolls out of Game 5 with 2 in a row.
How do you expect Gio to go low on that double? Like, he's hit all of his double taps high, just underneath the crossbar, but he goes low on one, and Cass makes the perfect read. That's crazy, but that's what Britton Parker have been doing to get back in this series. Good quality defense, back to reading where their opponent wants to go with the ball and making Daytona State's life miserable. I mean, that game was really out of hand there for a while. DSC did well to bring it back just a little bit at the end, but it was a cosmetic comeback.
A different game entirely now. Britton Parker now only need 2 to find their way back into it, and that is a much more feasible comeback whenever you find 2 very controlled, calculated wins where your system's actually working. And that's what's so scary about Britton Parker. They don't have to be overly flashy. Now, on the defensive side, they do need to be a little flashy because there is a lot of offense coming your way. But Daytona State not playing, I believe, controlled enough or slow enough on defense. They're getting really nervous. They're letting 50s go the wrong way. They're bumping one another. either they're making awkward bump attempts or they're getting bumped by Bruton Parker entirely. Again, it's a different game, and Bruton Parker's got full control.
That's the issue with uncharted territory for a roster is you sometimes don't know where to turn next. And for Daytona State, a grand finals on land is kind of uncharted territory for this group, especially a land of this prestige that we've got here at the Dreamhack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational. And so they seem a little bit lost at the moment. It was smooth sailing until Bruton Parker started a bit of a tirade on that DSC end. Started with good defense, and in that last game ended with 5 goals scored on a Daytona State back line that was not allowing those sorts of numbers previously in this set. Uh-oh.
Oh, and not open, not going to be found
Okay.
either. I was going to say back-to-back trips to Neo Tokyo, and I hope you pack for more because we're hoping, and I think very much capable of going to 7 here. But Daytona State and everybody here with them wants nothing to do with an extension of this series, but they've got to look like a new team now. They've got to find another adjustment after the many that they've made to be where they are to even say that they're here in the losers final. Bruton Parker, a lot of this is what we've seen for years. They've fixed their mechanics. Mentally, they're very much in a series at all times, which means that comebacks like this, all they need is just a little bit of momentum, and again, it gets scary quickly. What can Daytona State do to get back?
Oh, they can put Gio on the ball. That's a good start, but he's bumped off of it by Antics. Great first man challenge in defense from Bruton Parker, and it leads to a clear and potential outlet play from Antics, but doesn't make contact, so the idea falls flat for Bruton Parker, but I'm glad there are ideas flowing. At a certain point in this series, I was worried there weren't any, that there might be a little bit too much just going through the motions from the Barons, but hey, here in Game 6, ideas, yes, but right there, defense, no. No one back in time to stop what could have been an opener from Daytona State, but Bruton Parker dodged a bullet.
Once again, these Daytona State double commits happening either with full boost and or low boost continue to make things so awkward for them to bounce back from. Reset over 1 for Cass, potentially an awkward clear will find its way towards the backside, but Smooth is able to grab that boost, find it middle. You need someone to tap this one in. Gio goes off the side wall. Is there a follow-up? It's going to be a slow play from Smooth off the corner, getting bumped around, goes for Cass. Instead, shot opportunity around 1. How about 2 for Bruton Parker? That one's safely put over and away. Smooth has a teammate middle. Another look for Gio off the backboard is met again by Cass. Those two are going at it.
I really don't like the double commit that we saw from Gio and Solis. Both had an angle to shoot, yes, but Solis had the better one with no boost, and Gio called him off or jumped him. I'm not sure what happened, but we weren't seeing that from DSC previously in this series, and the fact that it's surfacing now on Neo Tokyo, not great, but you can always make up for it with star power. That's what Gio's trying to do, maybe a little bit too much, but if you get the goal, it doesn't matter.
Again, the double commits for Daytona State only are getting just a little bit worse in stages right now. Again, it's worth being nervous about as we're halfway through. But also with it being a scoreless game, you get a delayed flip back pass to Gio, and that'll relieve a little bit of that tension for now. But Bruton Parker, again, has Daytona State right where they want them. There's a lot of second guessing. A lot of that trust is not where it needs to be, and they are still going to find some chances. But again, it's given away. It's all to relieve pressure, not to apply it.
It's given away into space where Bruton Parker can take it and score an opener here on Neo Tokyo. That's a mistake from Daytona State. You cannot give the Barons options. They will make you pay with that.
No one is even remotely in range to make a play. Gio had no boost up his first man. Smooth was trying to make a way up to make the midfield play, but wasn't close enough there, and Solis was late to rotate back. So again, it's getting scary, and then some right now. Daytona State need any sort of momentum to survive.
Move can be the guy to provide it, but Cass strips him clean of the ball. Solis, a second man, does well in defense, but still Bruton Parker at the end of the play with possession, but maybe an opening. Antics was the third man with his back to the play. He gets up quick, plays it out to the side where Solis is lurking. Now DSC can't do anything with that. They quickly have to rotate back to defense, and quickly, a lot of emphasis on that word, as Bruton Parker are swarming soon.
Hitting off the backboard, Gio's going to find Solis, who looks for a midfield pass to a player that, again, is on 0 boost. Great 50 from Gio, but this is not a system that's going to clinch you a series. Smooth's got to find an awkward touch there. We'll do exactly that. Solis can't follow, so not a shot, but a slow play for Bruton Parker. Nothing new there. Great 50 for Daytona State, but again, that second man has been the issue, and it's another 2v1 if Smooth doesn't survive this.
He's got plenty of boost. As time wanes, you need someone to step up, but again, it's not Smooth. We've seen him at times this season when the lights are shining the brightest, be the guy that elevates DSC's game, but right now he is still being shut down by the challenge game of Bruton Parker, and now Milk off the side wall, letting the ball alone for Cass. He's got more boost, and freezes DSC for a moment before reintegrating Milk back into the play. It's a nice setup, but Daytona State stay home.
Geo there to get a quick beat, has a reset as well, going off the side wall, double commit again for Daytona State. Smooth off the ceiling, back down. Is there a player there to answer the call? Geo's are in range with enough boost, but you gotta be careful. No easy 50s. Pinch the through. Who's gonna get the pancake through? How does Geo find a lane through two?
He just brute forces his way through the corner, catches over Cass, stifles Milk, and uses his flip to force that ball over the line through the last man of Bruton Parker. And that's the guy that's stepping up for Daytona State. What a solo effort from Geo. He just outmuscled him.
Milk looking for a bump. It's going to be awkward for both Geo and Cass, who flick it up antics to try and call game. Potentially, it's barely off. Read is on! And no one makes a touch. Daytona State are letting it slip.
And how quickly things can fall apart. Bruton Parker take the elation from DSC's side and flip it to theirs. What a shot from Milk. Defenders in his face. He slots it perfectly to regain that lead.
25 seconds left. Can Daytona State find one? There's a kickoff opportunity. Sullis does have enough boost off the ceiling. Once more. Reset over one. Follow-up is there. It's Geo there to get a 50. Milk will try and slow it down, but gives it away. Sullis, middle, has to beat antics. Reset over one. Off the bar down. Misplay. Geo can't find it either. And Cass will tap it up and away. 5 seconds left now. Sullis, no double. Can anyone get there to keep it in? Keep it in. Smooth. Not able to find anything. Bruton Parker, 3 in a row. We're going to Champions Field Game 7.
Just when things were looking lost, the Barons emerge from the fog of war and force Game 7. Unbelievable performance all across the last several games. I thought this was over. I thought Daytona State had bamboozled this Bruton Parker team, but I should have known better. These guys have been here before. Dreamhack Atlanta, LAN, comebacks like this. I mean, these guys have been around the block. It should be no surprise they find their way back.
Daytona State are loud. Daytona State are energetic, but somebody did it first in this region. Somebody did it first in the Southeast, and that's been 4 straight years of Bruton Parker Rocket League at the top level. Ever since they made CRL in 2022, this has been their identity. It's this family feeling that will never quit, never give up, and never ever die, and they are all standing up right now. Again, it was getting scary. Now it's very real, and it's right at your front door if you're Daytona State.
And you do not want to give Bruton Parker hopeful faith in the comeback, because they will let you know exactly what's going on. Kyler will be letting Daytona State know what's going on in Game 7. If it's Bruton Parker scoring on them, Kyler's going to let them know. That's how Bruton Parker operate. They're not just a trio on the pitch. They are a unit as a program, and that bolsters a comeback performance like this. It takes us to Game 7, and now, who can step up in the waning moments of the lower bracket finals? No, it's not grand, but for these teams, it might as well be. You need this game win more than anything else right now.
Not to mention that prize money is on the line as well. It is only the top 2 who get to say that they have earned something from this tournament. Sullis, a 50 here in the midfield, will try and make something out of that opportunity, but they've had 3 games to do it, and it gets a little concerning when you're playing a decent system, but a mechanical outplay or a mechanical error is what brings a team back into a game, and these 50s, those types of plays cannot keep happening.
Smooth again, has a lot of boost and some time on the ball, but once more all he can muster is a first man beat. The second man though, of Daytona State that comes up big, Geo extends things, but full overextension from DSC for a moment, plus a demo could have plunged him into chaos, but Smooth gets back quickly and will make sure there's no easy opener for Bruton Parker.
Geo, a flip, and a cast in his face. Bruton Parker pre-jumping in Game 7. That's a new one there. Smooth time, trying to play off his teammates. Buff has a reset, but Antics is there to cover for his teammates. Sullis, very low boost. Not the pinch he would dream of or even attempt to try, and so it's just going to sit with a bunch of 50s in the midfield. Again, Bruton Parker like this game. They like to keep it slow. They want to keep Daytona State at the edge of their seat.
Great read from Milk. The follow-up, not quite as good, but that's why you got teammates. Cass behind him, actually looking awkward as well. Bruton Parker cannot let this moment get too big for them. They have done so much just to get to Champions Field. If they let it slip now, there will be a lot of regrets on that Bruton Parker side, but Antics won't let that happen. That's his pop-off moment. He was getting ready for it all throughout the series. Fakes the first touch, doubles it off the ground, and that's a lead for the Barons.
There's chess, and there's checkers, and there's Antics. Jumping early for a potential play. You have Daytona State at the palm of your hand, so scared of any opportunity. Who is expecting the Antics fake on a play like that? Smooth double goes middle. Nobody's there to follow. But man, Daytona State, you got to be feeling it now.
You really do, especially now in a low boost spot. Solo's fueled up at the midfield line, but gets faked. Smooth did grab the corner 100, so Daytona State crisis averted. They're able to stop ball and reset themselves in defense, hopefully soon. Smooth getting back his third man is dunked by Antics. He was up for days for that ball. Makes a good read, but it won't translate itself to a second goal just yet.
Oh, it's time to go to work, but here come all the bumps from Bruton Parker. This is where they get aggressive. This is where things get concerning. Smooth off the corner. Is there anybody to follow? There is a bump, and it goes the wrong way if you're a Daytona State fan, and now Bruton Parker has a counter.
Antics on the ball, found some magic earlier, but unable to right there. Daytona State getting in his way. But DSC have been spending a lot of time on their back line this last minute or so. But they are keeping this a one-goal affair at the very least. Still, it feels like they're losing sight of the finish line. It was so close, what felt like so long ago, but Bruton Parker have brought them back over and over again. One-on-one, Milk comes up big. The Barons continue to keep pushing towards a reverse sweep.
1v1 with nothing to really gain from it. 2 minutes ago now. Potential lane. Smooth's got to hit that one. Does also have Gio, who wants to actually knock the wall. Wants to keep this one moving. He could get back on this ball in time, but will not. Will be beat. Cass has Milk. It's wide open, and Bruton Parker go on 2-0.
Milk was ready for that somehow. I mean, Antics just narrowly gets that ball out to Cass, who, again, is somehow in the perfect position. And then he got Milk popping up out of nowhere to put a second in for Bruton Parker. A multi-goal lead in a Game 7 that we never thought we'd be heading to. But here we are now. Reality hits you fast, and Bruton Parker hit hard.
Almost a minute 30. Need this one to find his way top right.
Big.
Off the bar and down. Smooth had to make up for the awkward 1v1 earlier. Daytona State still alive.
96 points in Game 6. Smooth is trying to make up for a lackluster performance these last couple of games, and that's how you do it. Clean shot. He had a moment to collect himself, pick his spot on that net, and put it past the last man of BPCU. He does exactly what he had to right there, and that's exactly what his team needed.
Decent 50 will keep Daytona State in the Bruton Parker half. Holy pre-jump from Celis is almost going to find more. Gio has room. Could dunk one right here, right now! Who do you call? You call Gio!
He has been star-studded at this event, and right now, when the lights are the brightest, you expect them to reflect off a diamond on the Daytona State side. Big-time equalizer in a one-on-one. Daytona State are right back in this thing.
This is the momentum-based series. This is what they're going to point to in the textbook when you talk about momentum. Daytona State has got to use theirs right now and take a lead. You'll take it at any given point, but that insurance earlier will help to quell some of these awkward feelings that they keep on dealing with on the back end. All this nervous wreckness on their defensive side and how reckless they've been. A minute left to go now. Bruton Parker, though, still fighting strong. They've got a lot of boosts and a lot of lanes.
Oh, they've lost two, though. Sol's in a one-on-one with Antics. Cass did recover to help, but Antics was all good on it by himself. Big time read in the corner, and now Milk has a lot of boost. We let the ball go. Bruton Parker are showing nerves right now. Cass just whiffed. No, not like this.
It can't end like this. It's great pressure, don't get me wrong, but Cass backwards trying to get on the backboard and get back to it. It's all falling apart. Still 50 seconds left to go, but at what cost?
Recover fast. Deep breaths all around. Kickoff strat from Bruton Parker. It gives Antics the ball. He popped off earlier. Can he do it again now to get his team back in it? It's a decent 50-50, but it favors Smooth. Now falling back down. Cass wins the 50-50, but it's Gio that gets to the ball first and clears the way for Daytona State.
Almost no boost for Milk. It actually does get enough in the pass there. You have Cass looking for a bump, but Sauce alive. He leaves in middle. Antics is there for his feet. Net is open. Smooth. Insurance. Get it now! Daytona State go up to 2.
The energy's back in the Daytona State camp, and all it took was a last-second comeback. They were down by multiple goals in Game 7, but apparently they were saving their best for last. 4 straight from Daytona State, and the Barons are reeling a little bit. Good kickoff, but okay, they get the goal. Had to hold our breath. It's not done yet.
Study up, grab your textbooks, it's a lesson in kickoff-onomics. And Cass is absolutely deserving of being credited for that moment, but Milk fixed it perfectly for him to receive that ball. So without further ado, Bruton Parker, 1 goal away. Do we get Game 7 overtime? Who knows?
This kickoff heads right for Milk, and Cass also finds a demo. This is looking good for Bruton Parker. Milk shot is off the crossbar. It stays out, but Antics Fields is going backboard. Antics off the crossbar, misses. Daytona State have got to be cautious because Bruton Parker sends blood in the water. Come on, Milk. He's looking to deliver on Saturday, but can't get it done. Daytona State hold off the advances of the Barons, and they're headed to the grand finals.
Are you kidding me, Daytona State? How have they found their way into raw survival and instinct to come back in that game after going down 3 games in a row? You play a perfect game of Rocket League prior, and this is how it ends. Unbelievable.
Insanity to end our Rocket League Saturday here at the Dreamhack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational. I mean, Game 7 is all you could have asked for between these two. All you could have asked for was a close one. But Game 7 is what was delivered, and Bruton Parker had it in the palm of their hand, trying to reverse sweep up by 2 in the final game of this set. And all of a sudden, the moment got too big for them, but Daytona State, they kept their composure. They punished the mistakes. They made the touches that they had to. And that, in a Game 7 situation like this, is what you need to become a champion.
Both teams made their adjustments. They got to what I believe is peak form in certain assets in that last game. That's what we were waiting the entire series to see, but this is what LAN does to you. It is not made for everybody. And Bruton Parker, a team who has shown that they've been built for it before, unfortunately missed another grand final. Ever since they were here first, they played Kennesaw, lost that grand final. Game 7 Flitz, game winner. Craziest clip of this entire tournament's history. And they miss another year and last year, unfortunately, of a grand final opportunity. But Daytona State, the new kids on the block, two-stepping their way around.
More uncharted territory for a Daytona State team that has only been getting better at major lands this spring. An unbelievable uprising from the DSC boys, and I thought they were gone. I thought that was the case for both the teams at certain points in this series. They started out so hot, but then as soon as Bruton Parker started to collect themselves, flexed some of that LAN experience, Daytona State lost their groove. They lost mojo. They lost their identity, and let that series slip away to the very edge of the cliff before finding themselves again and winning it in clutch fashion.
I could not even write a series like that. Even though I wanted to go Game 7 overtime, I could not write it in the way that it happened. I mean, we're going to talk more about it, but Smooth, get in here, my friend. What in the world just happened?
Hand check.
Yeah, to be fair, I have tremors too. That doesn't help, but I was nervous.
Dude, I don't have tremors, and I'm still shaking. How did you guys survive? I mean, you let that slip. It was looking lost for a little while there. How did it get to Game 7, first of all?
They started getting us, and then we were probably a little in our heads, to be honest, but we were trying to keep composure and stuff, but they were just trying to play really well, and we weren't pulling through where we wanted to and stuff. But it was a great games all around. Tracking.
Game plan wise, you match it perfectly. You play them well. You go up 3-0. You're playing the way you want to. What do you think started the crumbling first? And then we'll talk about how you brought it back in a second.
Truthfully, I'll admit that BPC, they're a really good team at changing their play styles and how they want to. They're really good at adapting, so to say. So they're able to change up midway through, and they started changing it up a little bit. We noticed it, but we've always found it really hard to change that play style as well mid-game. So we're trying to figure that out ourselves, and we pulled through in the end, luckily.
That talks a lot about uncharted territory, and that's a very, very persistent and potent to what you guys have done and built as a program. What is it like to be here in a LAN Grand Final, and what has it taken to be here right now?
Oh, it's so amazing, and we've truly put in the work. We've had many scrims and like many hours put into the game for the LANs, just trying to experience it all. Considering this is our first year as a team, I'm pretty happy with how we've been playing and stuff, and we're slowly learning and getting better as players, so it's been great, and it feels wonderful to be able to get here.
I mean, top two now. It took a nerve-wracking Game 7, though. You guys are down by 2 goals in the middle of that Game 7. How did you bring that back?
When we went down, I might have hit a little like, dang, this is a really bad scenario. But then we got the goal back, and we adapted to what we noticed. We noticed that they were challenging a lot of second, and we had a lot of time as third, so we were adapting to that, figuring it out. Gio made his great plays as always. He's insane. He got us the goal back to tie it up, and then we pulled through and got those 2. We got the kickoff goal, was a little scary, and then we were like, all right, pull through. Milk almost peaked on us. And then Solus got the clutch save, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. And we got it down, and I was so happy.
And now Winthrop tomorrow, I mean, they got a game advantage. What do you think the chances are you guys pull off another upset?
To be fair, Winthrop's a really, really good team. It's very hard to upset them, but we're just going to go out there and try our best, pull through as much as we can. We've taken a game off them so far this LAN. Even when we play them again, because funnily enough, we'll play them for the 3rd time now this LAN. We'll be playing them again. We kept it pretty close in the other games, too. We had a couple bad games, but we know what to do. We can just got to pull through and be able to do it in the game.
All right.
I got nothing else to add, man. You guys are incredible, and I love supporting y'all. So best of luck tomorrow. Go enjoy your rest.
Huge win.
I know it was so.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You cannot write a better ending to Saturday than that right there.
That is what collegiate esports is all about. I mean, as grassroots as it gets here, I mean, we have upgraded every single time Dreamhack Atlanta has rolled around, TJ, and I feel like that is a cherry on top of what has been culminating here with the quick turnaround you and DJ pulled off to just get this event going. The fact that Britton Parker and Daytona State delivered that sort of performance here on Saturday feels like a thank you from them.
It might be an ode of some kind, to say the least. Me and Seb, Daytona State's director, we've exchanged gratitude for one another. They have obviously been involved in a lot of lands I've been a part of. I've made sure by any cost they can get to those lands. It's because of series like that. I mean, we have been believers of this roster. We're one of the only groups, or probably the only 2 people who really study the top 48, top 32 of CRL, and even some of the sleeper teams. That's what Daytona State was. They start in the SCL. They pick up major wins. They join the NECC. The fall was great, but the spring, like you mentioned earlier, it just gets better. And what could potentially be the icing on the cake than a potential upset over Winthrop? I cannot believe that's a sentence I just uttered.
Yeah, game advantage for Winthrop, mind you, in that grand final. So Daytona State are battling uphill. And you heard Smooth. I mean, he is not extremely confident in their ability to beat Winthrop, but, you know, with the form that they've showed throughout this weekend and the lessons they've hopefully learned in the last 2 matchups against Winthrop, maybe we're in for a treat tomorrow.
A lot of regional demons, Daytona State, to be here. They beat Kennesaw 3-1. Then they go into a best-of-7 losers final. We go the distance after going up 3-0. I mean, this team has pulled together some absurdly impressive wins. I think many people in the scene would look at that losers final against Kennesaw and even the win they got against them earlier to knock them down to losers as well. And you would look and you'd say, I cannot believe Daytona State are at this level, but they're here and they're here to stay. They are exactly what you want when you ask for what's next in collegiate esports. This is why we do what we do, for programs like this.
And this is a team, you know, sometimes you see small schools burst onto the scenes for a semester and then they lose pieces to bigger schools, or guys decide they don't want to compete anymore. We're not seeing that from this trio. They're going to end this spring on a high note no matter what happens tomorrow and go into next fall retaining the trio. You know, as far as things go right now, that is very much the plan. So it's been told to me by the team. So I think they are very much using this as a learning opportunity, and what a chance to learn it is.
Guaranteed prizing as well. And I believe for Daytona State, that's going to be some of their first earnings. I mean, their 2nd or 3rd tournament ever together. They actually walked out with a trophy of some kind or money of some kind. And again, I cannot wait to see what's next for them. But Bepic, any last-minute thoughts before we call it a night?
Man, dude, I'm exhausted. There's so much energy in this area right now, in this entire convention. But when you get a series like that to end the day, like adrenaline high right now. I'm going to sit down and crash in a little bit more than likely, but this is such a good example of why you need to support collegiate esports. The fact that Dreamhack has supported us now through several different iterations of Dreamhack Atlanta shows that their faith in this event is well put. I mean, Valent's been delivering as well this weekend.
I mean, multiple overtimes, a lot of 14-12s, a lot of 13-11s.
Yeah.
I mean, and right now they are live on Esports GA Tech. We'll make sure that we start a raid in just a little bit, and we'll send everybody over to Esports GA Tech. But I guess it's my turn to send us off for the night. So on that note, again, like Bepik said, I'm going to echo it. Support college esports. Support these students. They are doing what they love, and they're doing it at a level that most of them would be considered professionals. They'd be able to go overseas equivalent and go represent professional teams. That was the way that esports was. They are uber talented. They're studying full time, and they're making it happen. Bruton Parker, all together, all their Rocket League team and all their players together. Players on the B team play on CS2. They play in the Valorant roster. They do a little bit of everything. And again, and Carson, you're right. CIB was here casting as well. This is what this event was built for. This is what this was made for. To highlight wonderful people in the scene and to highlight students alike, both here on the desk and our wonderful friends over on Esports GA Tech as well, our production crew, and also, of course, the wonderful students who put on the show. But the curtain call is coming up right about now. Everything is closed down. We're going to try and get some shut-eye and survive for what will be an 11 a.m. grand final. There's no other storybook ending than a potential wild series between Winthrop and Daytona State. It's David versus Goliath. It's Bepik and DJ TJ. We love you, and good night.
Impossible. We love that word. It's a challenge to explore the unknown, to sculpt the skylines, to map the human mind, and propel humanity to the edges of Earth. At Georgia Tech, we are determined to forge a better tomorrow, because the world is counting on us. Impossible. It's not just a challenge, it's a calling.